patrol, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Feel your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We've watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Superman, that we're the only ones who can be strong, but we break on command, 'cause women rule the world.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Said the deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Sorry. Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening in at spacedoutradio.com and on Spreaker. As once again we come in from the frozen Canadian tundra, battle our way past the wild animals, sidestep Bigfoot, and enter Uncle Jimbo's cabin, stoke the fire, heat this place up, and broadcast you live on this Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. If you're on the East Coast, how you all doing tonight? Here at Spaced Out Radio, we do this thing 3 hours a night, 7 days a week. Why? We get asked that a lot. It's because we want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, ufological, conspiratorial, extraterrestrial, and so much more. Like our music, if you head to our new look, spacedoutradio.com website, you'll find and hear the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Check out a couple of his music videos by clicking on the Bumblefoot banner. Also, you can check us out on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and of course our website is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we'd like to say hello and check everything out at SHR Media Network, in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans on Facebook at UFOria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room, the SOR Space Travelers. Hey, Space Travelers, you can now head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and sign up for the SOR Space Travelers group. It's $5 a month, and we will be doing monthly prize draws, having private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and so much more. Hey, we're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. Also, check out our new feature, the SOR Space Wire. Spaced Out Radio's news editor, Eric Markham, has posted some interesting stories from around the world. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. The iTunes app Spirit Storybox. It's the official ghost hunting app of Spaced Out Radio, and the new Agora newspaper, the official newspaper of this show. The idea that extraterrestrials are already here and living on Earth is a reality to some, but to others, the idea is still a fantasy that comes with science fiction. It's a concept and an ideology, if we can call it that many can't or won't accept. We, as a growing global society, have shifted our focus onto our individual lives. How much money do we make? What does my house look like? What kind of car should I drive? How is my favorite team doing this season? Winter in Mexico? Well, what the hell? And in reality, those ideas mean nothing to the bigger picture. The bigger picture consists of what's hiding beyond the stars. It's something most on this planet can't even imagine. And really, how should the public know? The media doesn't report on any of these tinfoil topics. Our elected politicians are hiding secrets from us for the sake of national security and military technological advances. Hollywood doesn't help with their portrayal of aliens as bad guys in most films. Same with video games. James Borg from UFOria Chronicles joins us for the third time tonight. His friend, who we call Audrey, is a Pleiadian living in a human existence. He will be with us in the second half of the show. Tonight, let's get into the good and bad of what's going on. We bring in James Borg right now. James, my friend, always a good time to have you on the show. How you been?
I've been fantastic, Dave. And you?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. I'm glad to have you and later on in the show Audrey back on because, you know what? I was actually quite surprised when you told me the last time, hey, we got to get Audrey on the air. This is a Pleiadian living a human existence. And to be honest, it went a lot heavier than I thought it would. And his message was very deep, very fantastic. But in the end, I'm not sure that our audience was quite prepared for what was coming out. It was heavy, wasn't it?
Well, I didn't think it was heavy, but some of the air people, if you say so, thought it was heavy, and what can I say? That's what it is.
Well, you know what, James? The reason why I put it that way is because for you, you're involved in this. You're heavy into the conspiracy. You're heavy into the cover-ups. You're heavy into what's truly happening on the UFO side. Most people are just learning. I consider myself one of those people who is just learning. And yes, I've been fortunate where I've had a few more experiences than other people, but in the end, it's about education. So let's talk about your education into this, James. How long have you been doing this?
Ufology or the paranormal or all of the above?
Let's keep it on ufology for right now.
Ufology, okay. Hardcore, and since 2003.
So when you got into it, my friend, did you think that every time you opened a door, that behind that door there'd be another 10 that are closed, and behind those 10, another 10 for each door?
Fantastic analogy, because I believe you can never know all there is to know, because it unravels many other doors to open. You can never learn what you think you know, because there's lots of things you do not know that you know, and there's things that you know that you never knew that existed. So what I'm saying, the education is endless. It's never ending.
Does it get frustrating though, James, because you're somebody who takes this topic very seriously, and information is hard to come by at the best of times, but when you live north of where this big circle of UFOria is actually happening in the United States, do you find that getting information is difficult, or is there always someone to talk to?
Oh, it's very difficult for me, especially. I started these groups in 2007. In 2009, we had Utopia, and we developed Utopia, which is the co-founder for UFOria. Utopia became Euphoria. And the reason why we started these groups is just for the experiencers out there. So we can get together, we can talk, we can have meetings, we can have sky watches, we could bounce questions off each other. If somebody had an experience, we can talk about it. If somebody got abducted, we can talk about it. And it became a group like that. With Facebook, what happened was it was 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, and it's always been that way. The reason why is it's a mixed match of everybody. It's not just the experiencers. It's people who have just interests, or people have, like more or less an interest in it, along with the experiencers, along with the hardcore people. And a lot of times, yes, it is frustrating. Yes, it is depressing. Knowledge for me is from what the little bit I know, and I'm like you, I'm just a learner at the subject, because there's always stuff you're learning, especially about the world we live in and the horrors that surround it. And that's the depressing part, right? I've studied, in my past interviews, I've been hardcore into the occult from an early age. So I've dabbled in religions and magic and the supernatural. I've studied subjects like Satanism, only for the reason to get to know it. Not to do it, but to get to know it and get to know what's around me. And then when I see what's within the governments, it's all satanic. And that's what's depressing to me. It's all being run by satanic groups and satanic people. From the Trilateral Commission, from the UN itself. There's a document you can buy for about $2,500 if you're willing to fork out the money. They say it's about 1,700 pages, and it's the policies of the UN. It's the UN guidebook. Now, that guidebook, when you start reading that guidebook, I've only read a couple pages. I don't have a copy, but I've seen it. Okay, it is very satanic what they have. The agendas they have, Agenda 21, the Bilderberg meetings that they have all the time, all the gatherings, like I said, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, all these American, sorry, I hate to say it, but they are American councils and institutions that are fronting all this. And that's the depressing part of it. When you know the knowledge about magic and witchcraft and the occult, and you don't practice it yourself, but you know of it, and then you see it right in front of your face, and the people don't recognize it, and the people are led down astray, that's the depressing part of it all. Right? I have nothing against Wicca. I have nothing against paganism. I'm specifically talking about Satanism. So that's the depressing part of it.
Well, you know what? For every darkness, there is a silver lining, and there is a part that, it translates into positivity. And that's where the people got to stand up for themselves, even though, I hate the term, that we're all sheeple. But we have to stand up for ourselves, and more people are awakening to what is going on. That's the good news, James, because eventually the people are going to realize that they actually overpopulate the people in power.
Big time.
And when that happens, in trying to keep a positive light here, because I'm going to tell you right now, going into the whole Satanism thing, as interesting as I believe that topic is, I shy away from it, James, because every time I've tried to do a show on those topics, something always happens. I've never made it to air.
That's the mystique about it.
Well, exactly. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is I want to stay on the positive because there's enough negative bullshit out there, pardon my language, that goes on a daily basis, and you're seeing the good. I know you are because we have talked about it. You're seeing what people are doing to awaken. You're seeing what people are doing to realize what is truly starting to happen. And when you bring that all together into one, the reality is, I believe, a lot of extraterrestrials come down here and they want to be a part of it. They want to help us make it better. Are there the bad ones that are doing some heinous things to people? For sure. Absolutely. We can't get around that. But on the flip side, we have to be able to start accepting that message as well. And that starts with everybody individually. Would you agree?
100%. You got to start from within. Before you can teach anybody, you have to know that you have to get to that level yourself. Now, myself, having made that statement, I'm constantly learning. I'm just a student, just like everybody else out there listening. All right, I'm trying my best. All right, I'm smoking cigarettes. All right, I gave up alcohol about a month ago. I'll probably relapse this weekend for the first time. But I'm not an angel. Okay, Dave, I'm going to tell you right now, I have my faults about me. All right. But having said that, I also try to be a better person. I try working on myself. I try to attempt meditation. I try to eat some certain foods and take certain vitamins to try to help me enable to become a spiritual person and a psychic person. I try to go about my day in a happy mood. But sometimes I run into frustrations because the topics out there that you run into are all these really negative stuff, right? I'd love to see good news reports. Unfortunately, when you turn on the news, well, there's not too many of that happening. So this is the depressing part of it. Now, I want to stay away from the depressing part. Let's stay on the good. But I just want to throw that in there because I'm dealing with my own demons, and those are my demons.
Well, we all have them. We all have them, brother. That's a part of life. I think there's not a person listening into this show right now that isn't going through something on a daily basis. I mean, hell, I left where I lived picked up, moved away from my family and all my friends that I've grown up with to move way up north into the sticks because I was bullied. I was bullied at my previous job, and I did everything that they wanted. So, I mean, we're all dealing with that, and I think we all can empathize as a people. And I'm not putting you down here, so don't think that. I know what you're going through in regards to it. But when you see the light, and congratulations on being a month dry, that's very good for you. I come from a family of alcoholics. So anytime I hear someone has quit drinking or cut down to, a very low level, it makes me happy because I've seen the damage that drinking can do. Okay? But when it comes down to it, you have to be strong. You have to be mentally strong. You have to be mentally ready, whether or not it's cutting out alcohol, suffering from depression and anxiety like I do, or dealing with extraterrestrials and the government that doesn't want us to have any knowledge of them. It all really ties into one, does it not?
It does.
So when you look at it, James, and you look at the research that you have been doing, and we'll get more into this with Audrey at around the 10:30 break, which would be 1:30 Eastern time. When you look at all of this, and you sit back and you catch your breath, you may light up a cigarette and just daydream about this, what is the good side and what is the bad side to you?
The good side is we have a game plan going on, and the good side is that we're going to carry out this game plan, and we're gonna attempt a liberation. And the bad side is there's a lot of earthbound things that are happening, and when I say a lot of earthbound things, let me put it in better perspective. Recently, there were reports of Yellowstone erupting lava. All right. Now, when the news feed there's a webcam on Old Faithful. It's on there 24/7. You can watch Old Faithful all the time. But apparently, it erupted, and the shrubbery caught fire, and everything was on fire. And then they cut the feed. They cut the feed on the webcam, and then it went down for about 12 to 13 hours. There was nothing on the feed. It was picture problems, is what they said. And then when they brought it back up, it was a time-relayed film that they had replaying all the time from weeks prior. But apparently Yellowstone erupted. Now, for all you seismologists out there, and now this is a good topic too, because there's a lot of things you can say, there's a lot of things you can't say. Let me fill the people in on what's going on. On the West Coast in America, the land is rising. It's rising above sea level, all right? If you look at Arizona specifically, all right, it's risen about 300 feet in 3 years. Arizona, there's parts of Arizona that used to be 935 feet above sea level. It's now hovering about 12 and change above sea level. Now, what that happens is, if you look at Arizona, and you look at a map, and you look at the map of the United States, you look at Yellowstone. Take a ruler and draw Arizona, let's just say Phoenix, and draw a line to Yellowstone, all right, Old Faithful. Right now in the Phoenix area, that's a landform that's risen in height above sea level. So there's a lot of gas forming there. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of lava underneath that land. Not too far away is a place called Superstitious Mountains. It's actually, Dave, the biggest volcano in the world. All right, not too many people know this. All right, the Superstitious Mountains, the mountain itself is just one edge of the volcano crater. All right, so now that landform is rising. It's connected to Yellowstone. If you go up to Flagstaff, there's, I think it's called, I forgot the mountain, Sunset Crater. Sunset Crater is attached to this underground lava field. Okay, that's from Superstitious Mountains, goes into Flagstaff, and then shoots right into Yellowstone. When the landform rises, it's creating pressure. Eventually, the pressure is going to build, and it's going to push like a teeter-totter. So that means Phoenix area will go down in sea level, and then you're going to have the volcano up in Yellowstone erupt, and that's a big volcano as well. It's not good news. Now, I live in Ontario, and I remember when Mount St. Helens erupted. Okay, and in Ontario, about 2 days after it erupted, we were clearing ash from the windows of our cars. All right, it was like a joke in a way, because we were seeing this stuff that looked like snow, but it's not snow. It's dust. It's ash. It wasn't a lot of ash that came down, but Yellowstone has enough magma in there that will cause an eruption for about 2 straight weeks. If it erupts for 2 straight weeks and the amount of lava that's underneath there, we got a lot of problems in our way. All right, and number one problem is going to be the ash from the volcano. All right, so there's stuff like that that's ready to go. All right, and then we have some celestial stuff happening in the sky. All right, there's a solar system that's approaching us. It's called Hercubolus. All right, Hercubolus is the star. Like we have the sun, they have Hercubolus. They have their own solar system, so it's a group of planets and moons. One of the planets is Nibiru, okay, and then they have moons. They have a couple other planets and a lot of moons around those planets. Well, this solar system's going to overlap ours. It's approaching. So you got the Hercubolus threat, you got the Yellowstone threat, and these are earthbound events, right? And then you look on the news and you hear all the FEMA camp movements, all the tanks coming in, all the military gear ups, all the emergency testing. There's a sign, a picture of a sign that blew me away. It's in New York City. It's going to start July 1st and run the entire month. They're going to be spraying the New York subway system, the biggest subway system in the world, I believe, with gas. Okay? If I lived in New York City, I would not want to be taking the subway. All right? I'm just letting all you New Yorkers know. All right? What is this gas? People need to start talking about this. I wouldn't let my politicians, I wouldn't let my elected people do this to me. I have to go to work. I might have to take the subway. Hey, listen, I don't want to get sprayed with this unknown. All right, what is it? What's in there? Is it a pathogen? Is it an airborne virus? Is it an airborne test? Are they going to have nanobots in this gas? Which is a possibility because they have the scientific technology for that. All right, they have a lot of threats, and that's what bothers me a lot. Right, this is why I freak out sometimes. I have the knowledge to pick up on what's going on.
How do you keep it under control? Because you deal with a lot of people in the know, and there's I can't mention names because they want to be kept in secret. But how did you find out? How did you start getting in the know, James?
Doing what I'm doing with UFOria Chronicles. UFOria Chronicles opened the whole genre of people getting to know me. They have a thing called, you can communicate, right? It's a new form of communication. And people start messaging me. I start talking. I start commenting on a YouTube video. Next thing you know, I get a phone call, right? You exchange phone numbers. And a lot of information gathering there. I can't really get into it too much because I don't want to give away too much either. But I talk to a lot of scientists. I talk to a lot of, like you said, people in the know, all right? And most of these scientists, especially seismologists, they've been told to shut their mouth. Shut their mouth, otherwise their YouTube channels goes down, all right? And that's the ones that are only advertising on YouTube. I can't say any names again, but I think that people know who I'm talking about, all right, just by saying that alone.
We only have a couple minutes before we're going to go to our first break here, James. Do you find, though, that you're just one of those personalities that people want to tell things to? Because there's a lot of people like that. Jordan Maxwell is like that. Apparently, Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, he's now in the field of ufology doing a film on it, or a documentary. And he has people all around him telling him things. People tell Victor Vigiani a lot of interesting things. Same as Chris Rutkowski. And when we look at all of these ufologists, they are getting their information from somewhere. There are leaks out there. Are you saying that these people want to talk, but are using people like you as a conduit to get that information out there?
Yes. Yes, I am.
So how do you feel about being used?
You got to do what you got to do. You got to make a choice: what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. Right? When people talk about me in the future, I want them to talk about something that's good, not bad. Right? So even if I make an attempt to do something that's good, I want people to know that. Right? I'm getting the word out. I'm trying to.
How hard is it to get the word out?
Very hard. Very hard.
Why is it
hard?
Why is that?
Well, you got people that don't believe. You got people that are skeptical. You got people that make jokes all the time and think it's all polished shit, excuse my language. Right? And then you get all the remarks, oh, man, you belong in an insane asylum. I joke around about it a lot because I've been told I've been crazy, like, I don't know, so many times in my life. It's comical now. All right? But if you see me talk here. Do I sound crazy? Do I have, I don't know. Right? That's just me. Right? But the topics will make you crazy. Like, it'll make it because it's depressing. Right? Some of this knowledge, a lot of it is depressing. It's flabbergasting. That's why I drink sometimes. Right?
Absolutely.
Like you said, I haven't drank for a long time, but gee whiz, sometimes it's good to get away in the sticks and open up a brew, right? And just to relax.
No, it's a good Canadian thing to do, my friend. It's a good Canadian thing. Absolutely. James, I'm going to get you to hold on. We're going to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. James Borg from UFOria Chronicles is our guest tonight. In the next hour or so, Audrey, the Pleiadian friend of James, is going to join us as well. So you'll have to stick around for what Audrey has to say because we're going to learn a lot about him tonight. That's what this is about. We're going to learn about what he is all about and what he's doing here. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back after this.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Hi there. This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 Mediums and a Large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost?
Look no further than Spaced Out Radio.
SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click on to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on radio
or our website, including social media.
From commercial spots to banners, we have it all.
Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with UFOria. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Want to connect with us online? Find us on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio, on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. All right, space travelers, here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, have you checked out our new look website at spacedoutradio.com yet? Do it. It's great. We have the SOR Space Wire with our news director, Eric Markham. We have the Space Travelers membership that you can sign up for. We've got a few members already in there. So you want to log in and sign up for that today. We got a private area for you and a whole bunch of swag that's going to come your way, but only if you're a member. We have Bumblefoot. We have our schedule, our affiliates, paranormal teams that we have endorsed. We're getting things started on the right foot here, and of course, we want you to be involved as well. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. A reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website, of course, is spacedoutradio.com. Tomorrow night, author Dallas Tanner will talk with us. We're going to be talking about his cryptid trilogy. Bigfoot, sea monsters, and a lot more tomorrow night. Maybe a little Thunderbird talk. Love the Thunderbird. And no, not the Air Force Thunderbirds down south. Tonight we are talking with James Borg from UFOria Chronicles. He's appeared on this show before. James is a Canadian researcher into the darker side of UFOs, the darker side of government conspiracy. James, I got a couple of questions I want to ask from the SOR Space Travelers, if you don't mind, buddy.
Bring it on.
Joe is asking, where on earth did you hear, James, that Arizona has risen over 300 feet in the last 3 years? That seems impossible.
Well, I can't tell you where I heard it, but do the research and find out about it.
I'm going to challenge you on that one. That's pretty vague. I'm not asking for the name, but, I mean, to make a statement like that means the Earth is continually shifting at a high rate that we're not even processing.
The United States of America is, yes. Not necessarily all parts of the world, but the United States of America right now, big time. Big time. And, Joel, all you got to do is start doing research. Punch up seismology. Go from there. All right? Watch a bunch of YouTube channelers that are out there, right? And get some more information. Go down the rabbit hole, though. Just use the internet, buddy. Punch up some site. There's a good app for your phone. It's called Measures 2. All right, get it. That has a couple tools on it. One of it's a seismic meter. All right, so you can plug it in your phone and lay it down on the ground in your area, and you can find out if the ground's shaking or not. Right. Just go from there. I can't tell the people I got the information from because they're working. They're scientists right now. I've been sworn not to tell. So I can't tell, buddy. But the information's out there. If you know where to look, you can dig it up.
Another question coming from Eric Cooper in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. To your knowledge, James, what species of extraterrestrial flies what shape aircraft? And in your experience, for example, the triangular craft, are they Pleiadian? Are they human? Are they the TR-3Bs?
Okay, I got that question. I've got some answers for you. Just give me 2 minutes to run inside. I was in my car. I got my notes on inside. Hang on, buddy. Then I got some information for you. You want to talk about something else for 2 minutes?
Sure, we can get back to that.
Okay, and once I get the information, I'll let you know.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. Good to have it. James, when you are getting this information from these people, obviously you have to keep your sources tight to your chest.
Big time.
Well, you might want to oil that door, my friend. I'm going to tell you right now. WD-40 is a miracle.
Okay.
All right. But anyways, when I know all about it, and a lot of people don't like it, but as a journalist, you had to learn to protect your source. What you're doing is you're protecting your sources on the information you are gathering. How do you vet your information that you are receiving? How do you know it's correct?
Well, I told you before I dabbled in the occult, right? Or I researched products or researched subjects in the occult. I also became very adept at it. So I am an intuitive. So my number one source that I use for me is intuition, and then I back it up with internet, all right? So I go on the internet and I research more about that subject. And I got the information here on the UFOs whenever you're ready.
Well, let's just talk about the vetting of things, because I think it's important that people understand and know that when you're getting your information that you're getting it correctly. So how do you check the information before all of a sudden you take it as fact?
Well, some of my sources are very impeccable, so a lot of times I just take their word for it, to tell you the truth, right? As far as their position and who they are, there's no need to go any further. It's like Einstein telling you an equation, right? Or a new answer for an unknown equation, right? So I'd rather listen to a guy like Einstein than, let's say, I don't know, my next door neighbor Martha or something like that, right?
No, I understand that. I'm going to get you to talk up back into your phone a little bit because you were dying off there for a little bit. Okay, let's get to the question from Eric about who's piloting what ships in space here.
Okay, the light ships, the ships that you see in the sky that are white and turn a form of blue. Okay, those are Lyran or Pleiadian ships. Zeta Reticuli ships, or the Zeta ships. At nighttime they have an orange-red glow. Okay, now they also have a white beam or a white hue. Okay, that's because they use hydromagnetic repelling gravity. Okay, they use graviton engines. All the ships that use graviton engines are basically the bad ones. Okay, Draco ships. Draco or Alpha Draconis ships are bat-like. They're oval-shaped, oval spheres. There's circular ones. And they're also triangular. They also have some triangular ships. They also, their main ones are cigar-shaped ships. All right? The oval ships, these are the ones that look like an egg. They're very good. They're Andromedan. Or the ones from Andromeda. Octurians. Also, Octurians, they're the black-skinned people. Okay? They're our brothers. They're our cousins. They're very good ones, very good race. Okay, they're aligned with the Pleiadians or the Lyrans. Their ships are the old style ships. They're what I call the rinky-dink ships. Those would be like the Billy Meyer type ships. Okay, the older version. They have it's a dish-shaped ship, and it's got like a ball on the top, right, and an antenna stuff. That's the Arcturian ships. They were given those ships from the Pleiadians, but at the time they were given those ships, they were just becoming friends with the Pleiadians, so the Pleiadians didn't really trust them, so they gave them their older technology. So that's some of the information I have on the ships themselves. There's the ships, the triangular ones that are made on Earth, better known as the TR-3B, have 4 lights. It's a triangular ship, so they got a light on each pyramid, on each point, okay, each corner, and they got a big light in the middle of the ship. All right, so that's your TR-3B. And that's all the information I got on UFOs right now, types of UFOs. The ones that fly in a pyramid, okay, That is Anunnaki ship. Not to be misrepresented with a triangle. Now, if you look at a pyramid, yes, it's a triangle, but they actually fly like a pyramid would fly in the sky. They have like the 2 points down, 1 point up. So it'd be like watching a mountain or a pyramid in the sky move, right? So if the point's up and it's a pyramid or triangular, it's an Anunnaki ship. That's what we call the pyramid ships. So I hope that answers some of the questions.
What about rods? Perrier in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker would like to know all about the rods. What are they?
Okay, I'll be honest. I don't know exactly what they are, other than the fact that they could be some kind of sentient being, insect, or similar to. That would be a great question to ask Audrey, because I'm sure he would know the answer.
I will ask that, because I have seen rods as well, and it's funny.
I have too. Sorry to interrupt. Go on.
The night I saw a triangle over my house, about 25 minutes previous to this, I actually saw an orange rod with like silver orbs on each end of it, dashing across the sky. And 3 of us saw it from my patio. And when we saw the black triangle over top of my house, the undercarriage of that black triangle was the orange rods connected by the silver orbs. It was very weird.
Wow.
Very weird indeed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I seen a rod filmed by a colleague of mine. He's known as the Unknown Rocker. He does a lot of film work, and I think he was doing a wedding, and there was a rod that showed up in the wedding. We've seen it on film. He hasn't really published it. Maybe him hearing me talk now, maybe he'll dig up that footage and release it as a video, because it's a very good video of a rod flying in the air.
There's so much information to take in. How does a human brain handle it? Because I want to get back to the first statement we made in the first half hour, that every time you open a door, there's 10 doors behind that. And behind those 10 doors is another 10 doors. That's a lot to process. And our human minds, in the way we've been taught, are only allowed to think so much. We try to expand it as much as we can, but for a lot of the information, it's very hard to fathom. How do we go about processing all of this information?
For me, I kind of was the worst example possible. Again, my knowledge in the dark arts, when I actually unraveled the information about the Council of Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, the UN, okay, I almost wanted to vomit. Actually, I got profusely sick on the day I learned of it, all right, because I know a lot about the dark arts, and then I tied it into their agendas and their policies, and I seen it right in front of my face, and it wasn't good. So it was very hard for me. I had bouts with a lot of well, as you know, I drink sometimes. I used to drink. I've been dry for a month, and there's other things as well that I had to go through, right? And so I had to veg out, as they say, many times over, and I liked going up north just to get away from it all. All right, it's a hard thing to live with, knowing what's really going on. So to keep your sanity and all this, it's going to be a very hard thing. When you find out a lot of information, the first thing you'll probably get, the first gut reaction, is you're going to get mad. You're going to get mad because what they told you were lies, and you've been lied to all your life. All right? That's what's going to get you mad. And then you're going to turn on the news, and you're going to hear the news, and you're going to see the news, and you're going to say, what are they not telling me? What are the things they've been editing it out? Right? I've been on the news. I was on the news before, a few times before, as a ghost paranormal investigator. I was talking about demonology. And when they interviewed me, they cut and spliced my interview. So what they aired was not actually what I was saying, because they took one paragraph from what I said 5 minutes prior and blended in with something I said 10 minutes later. All right? And they construed something different than what I was saying. This is your editing. This is your news. This is your 6 o'clock news. All right. So that's another one that pisses people off, right? And that's happened to me firsthand.
Is it something along the lines, James, that you just can't process it all? It's impossible?
It is impossible. I would say you can never process it all because it's never ending. You're always learning something new, right? And I'm not a person, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a guy with a 210 IQ. I'm just an ordinary person like everybody else out there, all right? But I strive to learn, right? And that's what I try to be. Another way I try to cope is I try to meditate, right? And when I say try, it's because I am trying, right? But I'm not quite there yet, right? And stuff like that. Another thing I do is I like walking in nature, right? Walking barefoot in nature. I love going to the beach, right? Grounding, right? The sand, the water, barefoot, right? That's and just sitting there getting some rays, right? Sitting there getting some rays while sun gazing and the right times of day where it's not so harmful and meditating, like all that combined, wow, right? You feel so much better afterwards. It's a grounding that happens, right? So that's how I cope, right?
When you try to cope. Last weekend there was the big Alien Conference Expo in Brantford, Ontario, where a lot of the biggest names in the field gathered to discuss what they called Canada's first disclosure hearings. What did you make of that?
Well, I'm glad it happened. It's good that it happened. It's good for the town. It's good for the economy. It's good for the people going. As you said, the people maybe getting introduced to ufology, that's the best place to go to. That's wild because you'll probably have 36 hours of nonstop ufology right in your face, and you get to pick and choose the different lecturers who are lecturing. Right? I think it's a fantastic thing.
Do you buy their story when they say that Canada can play a prominent role in disclosure?
Sure it could. Why not? Brazil could too. Mexico could too. It's whether or not the rest of the world is willing to listen. Right? When we turn on the 6 o'clock news, are we going to get that feed from Mexico about a UFO sighting? It was recorded at 2:30 in the morning or 2:30 in the afternoon that was played on their 6 o'clock news. Probably not, because I haven't seen too many of them on the 6 o'clock news. So it's whether or not the other media outlets from country to country are going to work together. Whether or not their bosses at the media outlets are going to allow the reporter doing the story to air it. Okay? Because most times, they're not going to air it. All right? And most of the times, the reporter is going to listen to his boss. If he doesn't listen to his boss, he doesn't get a paycheck. He loses his job. Right? So I can relate to that. There's been jobs where I work for where I signed when I got hired, I was forced to sign a contract. Right? And in that contract, it said any idea is theirs. That means if I was working for them and I'm at home watching the hockey game and I got this new idea and it's totally irrelevant from what I was doing at work in my workplace, but because during that year, that month, that day where I had the idea and I coined it, well, apparently they can claim it as theirs because I was working for them. How do you like that one, right? So there's a lot of things in contracts and non-disclosure, all right? There's all kinds of that going on, right? So you got to listen to your boss, otherwise you don't get a paycheck. That handcuffs a lot of people.
Yes, but that's everyday life. People have to be able to do that, to survive. That's been happening for thousands of years. Whether it's in communism, whether it's in capitalism or socialism, whatever type of land it is, that's the way everything has been brought up. You can't change that because people do have to survive.
Well, I guess you're right. They need a paycheck.
And there's rules to everything. I mean, otherwise there would be complete anarchy, James.
I guess you're right there, too.
I'm not trying to be standoffish here. But,
neither am I.
When it comes to the media, I think there is a lot to be said about the way the American media is run. I do not believe for an instant up here in Canada that it is being run the same way. And I'm saying that as someone who's worked in a newsroom for 10 years.
Okay, see, that you have an advantage of me because I have no idea what goes on in the newsroom. I haven't worked for them.
No, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to break your credibility or anything here, but on the flip side, that's why I'm wondering, how much of this is fear-mongering and how much of this is actual factual knowledge that your sources are telling you that's true. Because let's face it, a lot of us, me included, because I've done this too. There are stories that I am totally hook, line, and sinker for. And when I vet it, mostly with people, and I'm having a private chat with someone about that right now as we're speaking. But okay. I find a lot of people in this field you have to be careful of to make sure that they are who they say they are. And the information that they are giving you is truth. Because I don't want to see you, or another prime example is Karen McDonald, who are living in fear on a daily basis, thinking that the whole world is out to destroy one another, because I'm not seeing it. I'm not buying it.
Okay. I like playing hockey. You like playing hockey. All right? So we like playing hockey. We're Canadians. You get a Brazilian that's never seen hockey. You take him to a hockey game. And let's make it a hockey game reminiscent from the 1980s, okay, when hockey was a little bit rougher and tougher.
Real hockey. Right? Real hockey.
Real hockey. There you go. When the goalie comes out of the crease, you can check him. That kind of hockey, all right? That's the hockey I love, too. And so anyway, so you bring this Brazilian up for, let's say, a Philadelphia Flyer game versus Boston Bruins, all right? A 1982 game, let's say, all right? And he sees the checking. He sees the elbowing. He sees the slashing. He sees the tripping. He sees the fighting, all right? To him, he might be horrified, all right? He'll probably go, shit, I don't want to play that game. It's too rough, all right? But for us, it's okay. It's cool. Pretty cool, buddy. No problem. You got equipment on. When you fall, it won't hurt. You got equipment on, right? But to the Brazilian, he's horrified with that, all right? You could take that example and paint it to any picture you just described, whether or not to accept the pill or not, right? Swimming. Some people have a fear of swimming. Some don't, right? So the question you asked basically can relate to anything like that. There's going to be those that do it, those that don't do it, those that accept it or don't buy it, right? I'm not worried about the people that don't buy it, right? Because I've been getting it all my life. Let's move on, all right? Period. If there's a person that will buy it or will listen or take the knowledge that's being presented to them and take it to their knowledge and their benefit, then I'm all for that person. I can say, you know what? Okay, I affected some people here. I saved some lives, all right? I saved some lives, all right? I'll tell you right now, if you live in Wyoming, right, I'd be moving right now.
Are people at risk, though? And I think that's the big thing, because here's what I see from this side of the chair. Okay? And I talk to a lot of people. I monitor chat rooms. During the show, I am extremely busy trying to keep everything under control and pay attention to absolutely everything. And I can feel in the words that people put on the fear that they are having. And I'm wondering, where do you draw the line then in between, and I'm not saying you in general, but I'm saying the people who are giving you this information, or someone like Karen McDonald, the information. And I love Karen dearly. Okay, she's treated me very well since I got into this industry. Okay, but I look at the people, not you guys specifically, but the people behind you guys who are giving you this information. And realistically, it's either one of two things. It's either we're living in a living hell, and this is hell, this is the devil's playground, or there's a lot of bullshit going on. That's what I'm trying to get at, because I understand that there is cover-ups. I understand that there is conspiracies. I understand that there is a lot to do with things that we can't even fathom. I mean, when you hear Ben Rich go out and say, you know what, we already have technology.
We have the technology to fly ET home. Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
So that tells you something. That tells you about some lies that are going on. So we have on one side you have NASA, right? That says, hello, we're NASA. We got another flight going on at Cape Canaveral. Blah 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 blah. Right, and then you got the Boeing Lockheed Skunk Works division. All right, that's gated when you get there, and you can't get in, and it's security to the tits. Excuse my language. All right, and all the other different aerospace manufacturers that are in cahoots with that. I'll tell you something about how they do the work. You want to know how they do the work? I'll tell you right now. This is getting a nice kettle of wax here. So you got a company. Let's say they make cameras. All right, they specifically are into cameras. So now there's camera technology that can photograph through walls, through caves, okay? It's like an X-ray camera, all right? Apparently that's how they got Osama bin Laden, okay? How they got him in the cave there. It was using that camera. All right. That camera now is being placed on every single Black Hawk helicopter, all right? Oh, did I release some information? Well, it's public knowledge to those that know. It's public knowledge to those who make those cameras. Okay? The people now, and this is where it gets interesting, the people in the factory where they're making those cameras, all they know is they're making cameras. They don't know where it's going. And now let's take it one step further. The wings for the aircraft. All right? Okay, it's made in, let's just say, I'll pick a state. Okay, Arkansas. I'm not saying that they're being made there. I'm just using this as an example. So you have a group of people in this factory making nothing but airplane wings. Okay, they don't even know what type of wings go on which plane. All they know is they're making aircraft wings. Let's go with fasteners. Hey, there's a lot of fasteners that are involved in all kinds of machinery. And planes, it's a type of form of machinery. Okay, so all they know is they're making all these fasteners, nuts and bolts and rivets, and they don't know where these nuts and bolts and rivets are going on or what plane is going on, all right? And then you have the radio people. They're making the navigation systems, all right? All they know is they're making navigation systems. So what we have here that's going on is you have a need to know, okay? All you need to know is you need to know your job. That's it, plain and simple. You don't need to know anything else. You come in, you do your job, and you go home, and you don't ask questions. All right, and you pass through the security, make sure you're not stealing anything. All right, so all this, what I'm saying to you, the propellers, the wings, the fasteners, they're all being funneled to a manufacturing end user. Okay, like your Boeing Skunk Works. All right, like your what's that guy's name from MUFON there? Visual Aerospace division, where they put together all these Black Ops type airplanes, and worse, all right? They have they have UFOs, they have the TR-3B and stuff like that. And they have even better technology than that, all right? So everybody's privy to the information that's given to them at that particular time for that particular job, okay? And it's all piled into, it's all funneled down the road, down the rabbit hole to the end user. Well, who's the end user? Who owns Boeing Skunk Works? I don't know. Let's look him up. Joe Algier. That's how you do research. Find out who the chairman of the board of the Boeing Skunk Works is. Who runs the company? Find out what other companies he owns. Right? I'll tell you something. You're Canadian, Dave. David Peterson. He was the ex-premier of Ontario. All right? When he was premier of Ontario, he had a little bit of Rogers stock, Rogers Cable Company. Remember them guys? All right. I remember them too because I had the same stock. I didn't have much of it, but I had the stock. And I had the portfolios come out mailed to me every quarter. Okay, and I see who's got the stocks and who doesn't and who's got the majority of stocks. Did you know that when David Peterson left politics, his stock quadrupled? Okay, and it was gifted to him. How do you like that one? All right, so he became the one of the biggest shareholders in Rogers Cable, and he was gifted it. All right? This is how the politicians do their work. This is how they get paid. All right? This is your politics, your real politics. All right? And it's all intertwined. It's like the spider's web. All right? Jordan Maxwell. You're mentioning Jordan Maxwell. Yep. Jordan Maxwell's phenomenal, buddy. You want to learn about the occult? Number one resource, Jordan Maxwell. In fact, I think the Beatles wrote a song about him. It's called Bang Bang Maxwell's Silver Hammer. And he was doing research during the time the song was made. And another guy is Mark Passio. You want to go to the dark side? Okay. Mark Passio.
James, I gotta hop out for a break here. I'm already running a couple minutes behind. You hold on to that thought. James Borg from UFOria Chronicles is joining us tonight. We're getting into some heavy stuff here. Conspiracies, UFOs, a whole lot. Bottom of the hour coming up, Audrey, the Pleiadian, will join us as well. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio on the Spreaker.com network.
Do you believe you've been in contact with extraterrestrials? Have you seen the Greys, the Mantis, or the Reptilians? I am Samantha Mullet, and on the second Tuesday of each month, you can listen and learn from my experiences with off-worlders on Spaced Out Radio's The ET Experience. With host Dave Scott, we'll sit down and chat about what's going on with our friends from other worlds. We'll also try to answer your questions, so please tune in on the second Tuesday of the month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And we give it up to you guys, all the listeners and the live listeners. You can get something special and hang out in the chat room. And we love to have you. So we'll see you every Saturday night at 8 p.m. You know where.
If you're a fan of social media, you can follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can also follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel, where our archives are stored, is Spaced Out Radio Show. And of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Hey, have you had a look at the new look Spaced Out Radio website? Lots of Bumblefoot, our music master, our resident guitar god. Lots on what we are doing. You can read my blog, our news section, the SOR Space Wire, provided by our news director, Eric Markham. You can check out who's on the SOR team. And, of course, join the SOR Space Travelers for only $5 a month. $5. I highly suggest you do. I want to give away some prizes, but you have to be a member in order to qualify for those prizes. So get on it today. It's a good time. We need people to get it going. We've got a few in there now, and we're going to start posting pretty darn quick in the private side. And we want you to post on there as well. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with James Borg. He is part of UFOria Chronicles. His chat room on Facebook, you can join it, as well as they are frequent followers of what we do here on Spaced Out Radio, and I appreciate you guys doing that for us here. James, thank you very much.
No problem, buddy.
When did you start to tie in the field of ufology to the field of government conspiracy, that they were actually covering up everything that we need to know about life outside of Earth?
From day one, because Roswell, right? Roswell, like, I remember when I was a kid, I think I bought a book, was by Charles Berlitz. He wrote a couple good ones. One of them was on UFOs. He wrote another one about the Bermuda Triangle. So, as a matter of fact, as a kid, this is freaky now when you go back. When I was a child going into elementary school, I used to like reading about the bizarre topics. I used to do projects on Easter Island. I would get into the Bermuda Triangle, Loch Ness Monster, stuff like that. The boogeyman, the werewolves, right? Wolves, Indian myths, Wendigo, right? There's a Wendigo thing that happens in Ontario. It's an Indian lore, right? It's a paranormal thing. And when you look back at it, geez, I was like under 8 years old, and I was, reading stuff like that, right? So I don't know what it was. Maybe it was preordained or something. So I had a big interest in stuff like that. And so right from the beginning, when you say UFOs and government cover-ups, yeah, number one, because I knew Roswell. Roswell was the government, right away they were in there. Right away they covered up everything. Right away they took all the evidence. The next day they changed the story. What the newspaper said the very first day and what the newspaper said the second day are two contradictory things. All right, so I knew that when I was just a kid, right? So there's your answer.
Being Canadian, were you surprised to learn how tied the Canadian government is into hiding things from or with the United States government?
Not at first, because what I thought, I said, well, nothing ever happens in Canada, right? Because back in the 70s, it was really big on American everything, right? The only thing we had that was Canadian was CBC, right? Hockey Night in Canada. That was the show I knew, right? The news was pretty boring, pretty mundane. When you turn on the ABC or NBC, you got all kinds of stuff happening. It's like, wow, right? You learned about New York and what's happening there. You learned about the Vietnam War that was going on at the time when I was a kid. You learned about Kent State. I remember watching the news as a little kid about the massacre in Kent State University when they killed 4 university students, all right, because they were protesting. That was horrifying to me. And as a little kid asking my dad, Dad, why are they shooting students? And my dad going, son, I have no idea. I have no idea, son. It's a bad thing. They shouldn't be doing that, right? That was horrifying to me, right? That was the news we were watching. That's the news I watched, unfortunately, because it was happening. That's the time. It was 1971 to like present day, right? And the Canadians, you really, really rarely heard anything about them. The first thing I heard about Canada being involved in space was the space arm.
Yeah,
right?
me
when
too.
We built the space, when we built the space arm for the shuttle. And I was pretty proud about that. I said, wow, we did something really cool, right? And stuff like that. And then there was that crash in, I think, in Manitoba, right? That happened in the 90s, I believe. And that was pretty interesting. And that was probably the first one that I heard about that was Canadian that made mainstream, all right, was the crash in Manitoba, right? That big crash they had there.
Well, there was the one in Nova Scotia in Shag Harbor in 1967.
That one too. Sorry, I missed that one as well.
Yeah,
but it's funny, Shag Harbor. I didn't really clue into Shag Harbor till like the 80s, right?
Did you ever get any information? Because I was trying to get information on it, and from the people I had talked to, even those who are supposedly in the know, when that crash happened in 2015 in Manitoba, just a couple hundred miles north of Winnipeg. You need a new Bic, by the way.
Yes, I do. That's true, yeah.
Did you get any information if that was a real crash site or just a military exercise?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Michael Duran, I hope you're listening, or if you not listening, get it on YouTube. He called me right after that thing happened, and it was very cold. I believe it was January or February when it happened, and in Ontario, we were having a cold spell. And in long sight, maybe we should have drove there, and we should have went there because we wanted to. And then from Ontario to that place, it's probably looking at about easy 2,500 kilometers, 2,500 kilometers to that place. So it would be an easy, at minimum, day and a half drive, right? Probably driving 24 hours with two drivers. And then to make matters worse, we were both low on funds. We had to bring our own supplies, and it's in the dead of Canadian winter. Now, when you're driving Ontario, it's not too unlike British Columbia. Now, British Columbia's got higher mountains, all right? But when you're whipping around Lake Superior, that part of Highway 17, there's a lot of twists, there's a lot of turns, there's a lot of ups and downs, and there's a lot of black ice, and there's a lot of snowstorms, all right? And then we just decided not to do it. And then the military was there. And the military was there the next day. We were hearing reports. The military was there. And then they sealed off the area, and we just basically said, no, let's not do it. It's too much trouble. But I believe James Borg's belief into that, I think it was real.
I think so, too.
I think it happened.
I do believe that as well. It did happen on First Nations land. And I'm very surprised that the First Nations community there has been as tight-lipped about it as usual, because up here, First Nations seem and tend to go against the grain of what the government is wanting to cover up or to try and test out. But I was very surprised that they were as tight-lipped about it as possible. At first, the reports came out that it was a UFO, and then all of a sudden it was a fake crash site of an airplane doing winter testing, to see the reaction time of search and rescue. But if you're doing a crash scenario for a rescue, why are you bringing in armed troops? Why are you bringing in military personnel on the ground for that? Why are you securing an area? Now,
exactly.
I don't really know how the military works, because I've never served in the military. And that might be maybe something they were planning in a war game or something along those lines. But when I think search and rescue, I think in Canada here, you guys have the Coast Guard down south. Up here we have the Canadian Armed Forces search and rescue, which their helicopters and their planes are a bright yellow color for people to be able to see them easier in the sky. And that's what I think should be there. Yet this was a full-on military exercise with securing land around the crash site. It didn't make sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up. For all the reasons you just named. You said armed personnel. I believe there was even tanks set up there, right? Things with guns attached to them, vehicles with guns, right? So, I mean, why would they do that for just a normal airplane? Why would they do that for a test? Why would they do that for an exercise, right? What are they anticipating, right, if that's the case? Or what do they know that we don't know about the certain types of UFOs that are out there? All right, and you and me both know that there's good UFOs and there's bad UFOs, and there's the attached races that go along with that, right? So obviously the government knows a lot more than your average everyday Joe out there, and they would send military craft or military vehicles because they don't exactly know what's up there either, because they heard the reports and they're getting ready for it. So they're getting ready for good and bad. And unfortunately, if they're getting ready for the bad, well, they need some firepower. They need some backup. They need some defense, right? I don't blame them for doing that, right? But that just brings that back to the same question you're saying. Well, if it's just a plane, then they wouldn't go through all the trouble. Why would you?
Well, and that's the hard part. That is truly the hard part in trying to establish an answer, because the only thing you can rely upon is eyewitness testimony. And, you know, that can be skeptical at best at times, because you have to vet whether the person, you know, that you don't know is telling you the truth or not. But it did seem a little bit bizarre to me that was happening, especially when I saw and I've talked to Chris Rutkowski about this, Grant Cameron, who is also a Manitoba boy, about this, and they don't believe it was a crash site at all. But maybe it's the conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing person in me. I tend to think it was.
I do too. And those two people you just named, they're heavily connected into the MUFON, right?
Grant is not, and I'm not sure about Chris.
Right. Okay. So that's another kettle of wax, right? So you got your division in ufology, right? You got MUFON. I don't know. You know what? The one and only time I tried to do a MUFON report, okay, it was like six pages with like 600 questions. All right. By the time I'd get through the report, it was like 4 hours later. It's like, what the hell did I just do? Right? What a total waste of time. Right? That's my personal opinion. All right. I don't know if it's changed, because I did it the one time and I gave up. All right. They just wanted to know too much information. I even think they wanted to know what blood type I was. They asked personal information, right? A lot of personal information, right? So, I mean, when I think that was one of the questions, what blood type are you, all right? When they asked that, it's just like, what the hell am I answering here? And I just never bothered with it. It didn't turn me on to making reports with MUFON. Hey, there's nothing wrong with making reports to other UFO contacting places or reporting places. At the time, there was Brian Vike. He's a guy that lives in Vancouver, used to. He had the Vike report. He was very good. There's the Filer's Files. There's UFO Casebook. The biggest one of them all is UFO Casebook, right? And there's a few other ones. Those guys, when you fill out a report, it's not the MUFON 6-page, 700-question questionnaire, right? And it turns off a lot of people that having UFO experiences to even report them, right? So I don't know. If they're MUFON related, I don't trust them. I don't trust them again for the people they're associated with. Bigelow, number one, all right? The guy that owns that ranch out there, that a lot of paranormal things happen. The name's escaping me.
That's Bigelow.
Ranch out there.
That's Bigelow. You're talking to Skinwalker Ranch.
That's it. Thank you very much, right? He owns that property. He's into paranormal things. He studies it. He's like an occultist. Basically, he is an occultist, okay? Because he's buying all the properties that have paranormal experiences, and he's studying it. He's got his people that he pays to go study it, all right? And he's not releasing the information. He's keeping it all to himself, all right? And I don't know. I don't trust people like that, right? Plus the Black Ops programs that he's involved with, right? Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth right there, right? So, I mean, I can't put all my eggs in the MUFON basket. Don't get me wrong, okay? They do a lot of good stuff, okay? Recently, they did a lot of good stuff in Brantford there. Mr. Vigiani, man, he blew me away. He released what he had for a long time, and I knew he had some of that information for a long time because he's talked about it at length. And I you know what? I tip off my hat to that guy, all right? I'm going to make it publicly known that I tip off my hat to that guy for releasing what he did. And he had the balls to say what he did, all right? And he did. And that goes a long way to my books, right? And hats off to Vigiani on that one, right? And that's all, you know, there's, wow, right? So, I mean, what can you say?
Hey, we have about 5 minutes before we have to go to break here. And I'm hoping that Audrey is feeling good enough to come on up.
Okay, great.
Okay. We kind of got to bring things down a little bit here because the energy is a little dark and it's a little confusing
right.
for
Okay.
Audrey.
Can I
right
say
now.
something about that topic right now before Audrey comes in?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Everybody out there, okay, you know there's good and bad ETs. We know the bad ETs abduct us. We know they do experiments with us. Okay? Audrey is a good ET. Okay? His race of beings do not abduct. They do not test. They do not harm us, human beings. In fact, the race of beings that he comes from, the Lyrans, are our cousins. They are ancestors from Atlantis. So the first colony on Earth of human beings was the people that lived on Atlantis. All right? And they are our cousins. They wouldn't want to hurt us. And you got to meet them halfway. And they don't do anything bad to us. They're not the ones that are bad. And yes, they are monitoring us. They're getting ready. All right? They're getting ready to help. All right? And they have been helping. There's the Andromedans as well, and the Arcturians. They're doing their part as well. Okay, so there is an alliance that are doing a lot of good things. And it's good to recognize that they are there to help. So what I'm saying is don't make it a witch hunt, guys, tonight, all right? This is a guy that's, out of the goodness of his heart, come out here and talk for the second time in the history of the world, right? And the first time was the first time he talked on Dave Scott's radio program, all right? So anyway, I'm just letting you know, all right? And he can read you. He can read all the thoughts you guys got. He's a telepath, okay? So keep it positive, all right? It's like when we say when we go on Skywatches, guys, let's keep it a positive thing. Let's not be afraid, okay? So tonight, don't be afraid. Get the fear out of there. Get the pessimism out there. Let's create a good vibe. Let's bring on the vibe. Well, I've already talked about the dark stuff, and you know what? Frankly, I don't want to really talk about the dark stuff no more. All right, I wanted a positive vibe too. So when we create a vibe, it's like that pre-Bumblefoot music that I put on the Spaced Out radio group there. All you need is love, all right? Love, 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 love. Okay, that's what the Pleiadians are all about.
You're making me want to hug you, my friend. You're making me want to reach across the country and give a big hug to you right now. And I know you would take it.
No, I would take a brotherly hug, and that's about it. But if you go any more, I'm going to have to bop you one day, okay? Hey, you know what I mean?
We'll do that at Center Ice. We'll do that at Center Ice. Hey, we have about 2 minutes before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. And Mario in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker has a question for you, James.
Is that Mario Perales?
Yes.
Nice. Hello, Mario.
And Mario is asking, James, is there anything that Pleiadians would like humanity to do to speed up our ascension, alliance, fight against the NWO or the Dracos?
Wake up and start listening, start paying attention. Don't swallow the pills that you've been swallowed by what your governments are telling you. Just you know what? Best to ask the horse's mouth, all right? I'm the horse's ass, and the horse's mouth is coming on in 2 minutes. So why don't we let Audrey answer that one? Because I don't think I'm qualified to answer that question.
I would like to, we will get and ask Audrey that as well, you know, because I think that's an important question.
It is a very important question, yes. So let's ask a real Pleiadian rather than a human being.
We can do that. We can totally do that, because that's kind of the way we do things around here. And Captain Max Steele says, give him a hug or a kiss, my brother. Thanks, Max, for listening in. He's
right
from
on.
the Max Steele show. Max has been
Right
on
on,
the air.
cool.
Have you ever talked to Max?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have to. Max is a genuine guy who has seen a lot in his military life. He is a whistleblower. He goes by a pseudonym.
Right on.
And
Right on.
he's actually spent time at Area 51 and on Mars. It's almost time to get Max back on the show to give us an update on everything like that. But
I think so. It's a show I would tune into.
Brilliant man. His topics give a lot of controversy because a lot of people can't fathom what he has gone through. But on the flip side, he's as real, and I've had many private conversations with him, more so than I have on the air. And, he's a very good man. I have a ton of respect for him.
Right on. Now I know his name, Max Steele. Right on, Max.
Exactly.
And-
James,
and hats off to you.
I'm going to get you to hold on here because we're going to go to a break at the bottom of the hour. And you're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. While we're at the break and you're tuning in, if you haven't checked out our website, go check it out. It's a lot of fun. Find the new stuff and join the SOR Space Travelers. We'll be right back.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Would you like to expand your clientele? Have you ever thought of online radio advertising? Check out spacedoutradio.com to get your name out there. Our listeners support those who advertise with us, so why not give it a try? We have the most competitive advertising prices out there. Just click on the advertising tab on spacedoutradio.com and contact us today.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two Mediums and a Large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. Hope you all checked out our new look website, spacedoutradio.com, while we were on a break. Hope you like it. And I hope you're signing up for the SOR Space Travelers. It's a big deal for us. We want to be able to give you a really good private section. We want a place for you guys to communicate, show your evidence, your videos, your photos, paranormal, UFOs, Bigfoot, whatever it is. Let's have some good chat going in on there. All you got to do is sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club today. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And, of course, our new look website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight, we are talking with James Borg of UFOria Chronicles, and we've been joined by Audrey. Now, Audrey is not from here. This is the second time Audrey has ever spoken live and gone public, so a lot of people will ask me, Dave, and I got asked this after the show, the last time Audrey was on, how do you know? How do you know that Audrey is not from here? Well, Audrey and I have talked quite a bit, and before I bring anybody on the air, I like to vet them, because I don't want my audience to have the wool pulled over their eyes. That's not fair. And whether you believe his story or not, that is up to you, because this is all about free will. This is all about learning. This is all about having an open mind and an open concept to what could be out there. Because we do know that there are ETs on this planet. We do know that they are around us. They're not always the Greys. They're not always scary reptilians. There are ones that look like humans, just like you and I. Not all of them are out here to do us harm, just like not all people on this planet want to do us harm. There's more good than bad out there. Audrey is part of the Pleiadians, from the Lyran section of it. He is someone who wants to help mankind. Right now, he can't go home. He's stuck here. He's in communication, but he is stuck here. It's his mission. It's his mission to be here and to be a part and to help people learn. So when you're asking questions in either of the chat rooms tonight, we all need to keep an open mind. We all need to be respectful of what is out there and the plausibilities and possibilities that this is real. Me personally, I am 100% convinced this is real. It kept me up at night the last time, because it's very rare. We've had people channel on this show. We've had people channel extraterrestrials either by spirit board or in channeling sessions on their own. We've had ghost box sessions with Bill Hauser on this show. And I was not a believer in the ghost box at all, until I heard, in the second time we did it live, I heard my real last name put on the air. That's freaked me out, because I got a long Ukrainian last name. So, keep an open mind. Bring your questions to the table, and Audrey will answer them. It's just that simple. Audrey, James, welcome back. Audrey, you stirred up a lot of emotion the last time you were here, because a lot of people are intimidated by the fact that I know you're the real thing, but I'm going to use the word could here, that you could be the real thing, and that it's hard to fathom that you're actually here. When you hear people or you read the negative comments, and I'm not trying to go negative here, but when you hear people questioning your ability, are you used to that, or does that bother you on an emotional level?
I've been used to that for a very long time, but it always stirs emotion in me. I feel emotion from every one of them. And when they're uncertain or they're scared or they're angry, I feel those too. And it interferes with my ability to speak sometimes, or to speak clearly, or to convey certain points clear enough for the people to understand. Let me try to steer away from saying these people or the people, because it occurred to me that the last time I spoke, it bothered many of them. So I will attempt not to say those things.
I want to start off with a question.
I apologize.
Oh, no worries. I want to start off with a question from Gail in the SOR Space Travelers. She is asking, Audrey, are you choosing to stay on Earth, or is there another reason you cannot go home?
There are certain treaties in place that prevent, let's say, intervention to certain places unless they have permission to come here. We abide by those treaties. And unfortunately, because of my circumstances, I don't receive help, direct help from my people because of those treaties. And as a result of that, I've been stuck here for a very long time.
If somebody were to see you on the street right now, would they be able to tell that you are of extraterrestrial descent?
I've learned to blend in very well. I've been here long enough to know how people dress, how they walk, how they talk. You know, it took a long time for me to be able to understand how people communicate with themselves here, the locals here. So I've spent a lot of time studying behaviors, studying their personalities, studying their speech and their speech patterns, and I've learned to blend in very well in many different situations with various people from all walks of life.
I want my audience to get to know you, because I think this is very important in going forward, and I want to spend a lot of time talking about you and your experiences here. How long have you been on Earth?
Well, we've been here multiple times, but if you're referring to how long I've been stuck here specifically, you can go back as far as June 19th of 1964, or you can go as far back as May 12th of 1972. There were two different occasions. However, 1972, I was trapped here.
And yet you do not look your age.
No, I do not.
If someone was to look at you in human years, what would it be? What would your age be?
Well, some have said that sometimes I look between 10 and 13 years old. Others have said I look as old as 19 to 25. It really has to do with their perspective. And I do ask people from time to time, you know, how or what age do you think I am? Just so that I can see their perspective. You know, I like to measure how people see me. But when I tell them an estimated age, they are completely baffled. They question, so I show them evidence of that. I've documented aging progression and digression in photos. I have entire albums full of them. I take them quite often, not out of narcissism or anything, but merely to document for those that question. You know, I've demonstrated to certain individuals around me aging for 30 days to show them just how quickly we can age because of our real age, and showing them how fast I can heal as well, undo age. Age is just damage like anything else. It is damage like a cut or a bruise. It's just merely damage accrued over a long period of time. It's a lot of factors that have to do with your internal health, your organs, your internal body, how that is functioning, your hormones, the purity of your blood. And it's quite easy to repair that. It does not take 20 years to undo 20 years. It can take as little as a year to 2 years to undo 20 to 40 years worth of damage.
When you first arrived here, how long did it take you to get used to living here? What did you have to do? Because obviously you had to be able to blend in somehow. So was it a crash course on blending in, or before you came here, were you prepared on...
You don't come here knowing how to blend in. You learn as you go. It took me 2 decades to learn to blend in properly with everyone. I had to learn to walk and talk like them, learn to work like them, learn to have a personality that they could relate to. It was difficult for me to develop that because at first glance, if you saw us fresh from Lyra, we look as though we have very little personality. It's not that we don't have a personality, but it's not in a way that people here would understand or relate to. So it took me about 2 decades to develop a personality that they could relate to. And even still, I blend in like a chameleon. I can change how I blend in with different situations here based on what I read from the people I'm talking to. I can measure their level of understanding within about maybe 2 minutes. I can measure their language, what they understand as far as the vocabulary and the wordage that they use, and blend in with them. It's quite easy for me to do nowadays, but back then it was a culture shock for me. It was scary, it was frightening. Being here was very hard at first. You don't know how to blend in when you first come here, as I explained earlier. You don't know how to survive here. You learn as you go.
Are you able to see how many of your people are on this planet right now?
Not many.
Are there any
that are directly from our system? I'm one of the very few that are here. There are just a small handful here, approximately 4 or 5 others, but not much else other than that. You will find those that were seated here, and that's a term I learned over a good amount of time here, that were seated here from the Pleiades. They recycled and chose to come here, and they became part of this system.
How long did it take you to learn the language?
I spent about at least 24 years learning English.
Are you
learning
able
to speak it well? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you able to give us an example of what your language back home sounds like?
It's not audible. We don't speak with words, with sound. It's we speak with telepathy.
Okay, I have a bunch of questions coming in from our audience right now. Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker would like to ask, how long is a year in Earth equivalent day? How long is a year in Earth equivalent days on your homeland?
It's approximately, if you want to estimate, about 4 years to 1 Earth year. Well, I'm sorry, it's 4 Earth years to 1 Lyran year, to be more specific. It orbits much slower.
Do you care about time there?
No, time is not something that we measure per se. It's not needed. We live so long there, it doesn't bother us much. We heal so rapidly that age doesn't affect us for a very long time.
Mario has a question. Do Pleiadians have children? Is it like how humans procreate, or is their child-producing mechanisms very different than humans?
We do have children there, but it's far more difficult for us to impregnate a woman on Lyra. They are fertile, but it's more difficult because of our sizes there. So we are more potent than people here are. We are incredibly potent because it's more difficult to bear children naturally. It's not impossible. We do bear native children there. However, through natural childbirth, but it's just difficult. It takes a very long time. But time is something we have plenty of.
Mario has a follow-up question. He's saying he thought Pleiadians lived in the 4th density. What adjustments did you have to make to live in this 3rd density realm?
You can ascend or descend as you please there. It has to do with vibratory frequency. We choose to be here in the 3rd to experience a life, to experience certain things that we can't experience in the 4th. In the 4th, it's always bliss and peace all of the time, but here we have the ability to experience other things that we can't experience in the 4th. Although in the 4th, you don't have time. Time is virtually non-existent. If you ascend to the 4th, you could be there for 1,000 years and it would still feel like a day to you. There is really, truly no concept of time in the 4th. And you don't age in the 4th. You don't even have to eat in the 4th. You don't have to drink in the 4th. You live solely off of vibratory energy.
I could use that diet.
When we're here in the 3rd, you have to eat, you have to drink, you have to meditate to keep your vibratory levels up. What we've established on Lyra is a network of absolute high vibratory energy. Everyone vibrates high, thus that one person helps the next, helps the next, helps the next to stay high in vibration. It's a network. We are all connected there. One thought from one side of the planet reaches the other side of the planet to others that reside there. So if we were to, let's say, bring someone from here to Lyra, and they were not prepared mentally for that, they were still in a very negative mindset, that a single thought, a single bad thought would transmit to everyone on that planet. So it is like a virus, which is why we encourage those that truly want to go to visit our system to be in a loving state at all times, to be happy, to be high in vibration, to be mentally prepared for such a thing, because if you go there with a negative mindset, it really hurts a whole lot of our population. Now we have a place on Era where we, there's one continent on Era where we do bring outsiders to and we teach them. It's like a quarantine, but it's not. They're still free. We keep them there to teach them, to learn to control their mindset, to be positive, and to let go of all of those negative emotions and experiences. We're not telling them to forget, but we're telling them to let go of those anchors that are holding them down, to help them to progress in their journey to ascension. Everyone should always strive for ascension. If they want to go to the fourth, that is the only way. And you cannot be a negative being and ascend at the same time. It doesn't work both ways. You cannot have evil in your heart and ascend at the same time. You have to choose one or the other. You are either good or you're not.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Can you tell us how old you really are?
I can only estimate. We don't have really a fixed time scale, but if I were to attempt to estimate based on Earth years, across many cycles here, it's approximately 1,494.
You're an old guy.
We don't age the same way everyone else does here. It's not a fair doing here. It has to do with the omission of information that should have been taught a long time ago. And it's not that we haven't tried to teach these things, to teach people to heal themselves and live longer. It's that their captors here have omitted that information so that they will die faster. It's a system of control. And they poison their food, their water, and their air to help facilitate that process. But the most important element that they poison is vibration. By having everyone here slave away every day, going to work, dealing with stress, dealing with negative events in their lives, they facilitate the lowering of their vibration to prevent ascension. And that is against everything that everyone is. Ascension is a birthright for all beings on this planet and for all beings within this universe. Everyone deserves to ascend, but you cannot be evil and ascend at the same time. We don't condone wars. We don't condone fighting. We don't condone hurting others. It is completely counterproductive to ascension.
Bill Cardwell has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. Audrey, is it possible for you to come forward and work with our government scientists to help improve life here on Earth with your advanced technology?
We could, if they desired that. We would be more than willing to help them. We've tried in the past to attempt to guide them in the right direction, but they always refuse our teachings. They refuse to listen to what we have to say. We will not deliver technologies to those that plan to use it in an evil manner. We won't teach them to do something that they would use to destroy themselves.
Another question for you. This one comes from Michael in the SOR Space Travelers. Audrey, are you in contact with any of the others that are here?
They haven't contacted me, but I do hear them.
What does that sound like?
When we receive a communication, we receive a package of information in just a split second from an individual that transmitted it. We see emotion, we see memories, we see topics, what they're talking about. We get an entire point to what they are trying to convey within just a split second. Imagine what a Wi-Fi packet is. A Wi-Fi packet, a single packet in a network here, can contain a whole lot of information. Contains the MAC address, the IP address, the information being transmitted. And it can be of varying bytes depending on the type of network you're sending it through. So it is the same thing when it comes to telepathy. When it comes to communicating a message, it's like Wi-Fi. You transmit it just like Wi-Fi. And then that packet transmits to the individual you're sending it to. But as I explained in the previous radio broadcast that we did, you have to know who you're sending it to. Otherwise, anyone can listen in on that, even those that want to do you harm. So you have to have like a cosmic phone book. You have to know who you're talking to. You have to know that individual's frequency. Everyone, like a computer, has their own frequency. A computer has its own MAC address, like a fingerprint. Every individual has a slightly different frequency. It's microscopic, but for us it's noticeable, and we use that to identify those that we are attempting to reach. So when we send a signal, we know who it's going to. Those that are attempting to learn telepathy here, and they are attempting to contact beings, they're transmitting information out there, and they're receiving answers back from unreliable sources like Zetas and Anunnaki. Anyone can pick up on these things. Now, we do have just a couple of Anunnaki, ironically, on this planet that are actually good and trying to help. There are some that have turned away from being evil here. Just because a lot of those eggs are bad does not make them all bad. You know, there are many beings here that do harm to the people here, but there are still just a few that have turned away from that to attempt to help, because they too want to ascend. When they are born, when an Anunnaki is born, their goal is not ascension. They're not even taught per se about ascension, but those that have become curious about it and yearn it have turned away from being bad to attempt to ascend. Now, for an Anunnaki, because of their genetic makeup, it takes them much longer to ascend, and their teachings. So they could take easily 100 Earth years just to ascend. And those that they've taught their ways too, let's say the Buddhists and the Hindus that have ascended, they've ascended at old ages in contrast to the measures here on this planet. They have ascended at nearly 100 years old, some of them, and others have died before they ever reached ascension because they're not meditating properly. It takes them much longer to reach those higher bars of vibratory frequency. Here you have to break the frequency fence to ascend. It's not difficult if you do it right. You could ascend within 3 years or less. It's not difficult at all. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Audrey, I'm going to get you to hold on, and James, I know you're still on the line. I'm going to get you guys to hold on. We're going to hop out here for a break at the top of the hour. More of your questions from the chat rooms with Audrey, the Pleiadian, and James Borg right after this. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott. We'll be right back.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us on this Wednesday night, early Thursday morning. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the new SOR Space Travelers group. If you haven't signed up, it only costs you $5 a month. You can find it right now. It is active, finally, on the Space Out Radio's new look website. I think it looks fantastic. All you got to do, even if you just want to listen to the show, is when you get to the page, when you type in spacedoutradio.com, hit enter. That'll take you to the home page. The show, when it's live, will automatically go live. And if you missed the previous night's show, that show is going to replay for 24 hours. So that way you can catch last night's show. For instance, this show right now, right afterwards, you can catch it at spacedoutradio.com. If there's any place that you want to hear it, or maybe you missed some of the sections, just go to our website and it'll take you right to it. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And, of course, our website is spacedoutradio.com. Tonight we are talking with James Borg from UFOria Chronicles, and for the second time ever, a Pleiadian stuck here on Earth, goes by Audrey. We're chatting with Audrey now. We bring both of them back on. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good.
Good.
All right. James, how's the people's mullet doing right now?
People's mullet's growing. The back looks wild, crazy, uncombed.
Nice.
Frailed and wind blown.
The
front looks neat and tidy.
I bet you it looks beautiful under a hockey helmet. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah, it would. And I love it. I'm going to be going to a Suns hockey game tomorrow.
Excellent. Excellent.
I miss the ice.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Although I got the little guy, he's going to be doing the skating lessons coming up here this fall, and by the end of the year, he should be going on his own and, pretty much be ready to lose some teeth at center ice. That's okay.
I'm sure Daddy's going to teach him some boxing lessons.
Oh, of course, of course. I do want to remind our listeners in the SOR Space Travelers room, today's password set by Bill Cardwell is spurious. Spurious is our password in the SOR Space Travelers. And just so you know, Bill is number 1. We're now nicknaming him number 1 because he was the first member of the SOR Space Travelers. So be like Bill, Spaced Out Radio listeners. Be like Bill. You won't get number 1.
We could always add an M to that password, Dave. We could put an M in between the R and then call it spermius, right?
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. That's terrible. That's Ontario talk right there.
Sorry. Okay.
Audrey, I want to continue with the questions, and this one comes from Trip in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He is asking, how can we help you to find others to help you go back home, or do you want to go back home?
Well, I will say that I have been building a beacon which should call out to them on their frequency. So I'm hoping at this time to be able to get a response once it is built.
All right. Max Steele wants to talk to you about that privately, just so you know.
Okay.
Get to Lisa's question in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. What do you know of consciousness interaction with the universe?
We're all connected to everything. Everything at the level of a quark, in those quarks, the photoradionic energy is the same throughout the entire universe. Everything is connected, and everything here has a consciousness, whether it be a rock, a tree, a brick, or dirt. Could be an animal or a person or an insect. Everything is connected here on this planet just as much as it is throughout the entire universe. Photoradionic waves within quarks, those strings that scientists still have yet to identify here, are made of two things, frequency and vibration, and those two things together create everything that you see here. Light itself is just the photons that you see, that you perceive as light, is merely just freely floating quarks that were blown away from the nuclei of their atoms that are vibrating very high in frequency and vibration. As a result, create the illusion of light. Every single thing in this universe is connected. Everything is made of the same thing in different quantities and densities, frequencies, and levels of vibration.
Let's go over to another question on the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Bob wants to know if you, Audrey, know or ever met Valiant 4.
I know of him. Have I had personal interactions with him? No, I have not. But I do know of him, and not from here. I've heard of him from afar a long time ago. He is a being that resides, ironically, within the planet Venus. At least that was where he originated. They have a city that is underground, that's deep underground, away from the heat. away from the pressure of the atmosphere. And their vehicles are built to withstand immense pressures as they exit or enter the planet. So they've been residing on Venus for a very, very long time, many thousands of years. And Bailey Thor is very old. He was a good man. Still is.
Are you surprised that more extraterrestrials haven't stepped out to the public like he has? Or he did?
Well, I'm stepping out to the public, am I not?
Yes, you are, but he was more on a grandiose scale, getting involved in public press conferences, of government press conferences. He was almost like a face, even though there was a lot of tales about who he was or who he wasn't. He was still out the forefront.
Well, a lot of the beings that are here that are not from this planet are afraid to step out into the public, and you can't blame them because of the captors here. They do their very best to keep the truth from coming out. So most beings that are here stay in the shadows, hiding from those that would otherwise kill them. Not that we are afraid of death, we're not, but it's hard to get to this planet. It's very difficult to get to the ground level. So to have to go back through that is a very difficult thing. A lot of us ended up here because our ships were shot down or crashed on this planet. That was the only way we could make it here. Because unfortunately, landing is very difficult when you have missiles being shot your way. So a lot of the beings that made it here are always in hiding, not because they are afraid to get the truth out, but because they are afraid of being stopped.
Gail has a question for you in the SOR Space Travelers room. Do you have friend and love relationships similar to our human relationships?
Absolutely. On Lyra, we have something similar to marriage, but it's not marriage in the sense that you would think it is. When we recycle it, when we do die and our bodies expire, we come back into a new body with our memory. We don't forget. Our relationships are cross bodies. They persist through death. We don't forget our loved ones. We don't forget those that we love. So my woman I've had for a very long time. We've been together for well over 1,000 years. And still very strong, although she is no longer here with me. She is still in the area. She's not on Earth, though, as we speak.
If you were to have children, would they take on a human lifespan or would they take on a Pleiadian lifespan?
I did have children here already. I have 2 beautiful children. And they live much longer and they are more resilient to sickness and they don't break down as easily because our genetics are very pure. However, when we mate with somebody here, sometimes the genetic structure is slightly damaged with dirty genetics. That has to do with malformities in the genetic code sometimes that happen with some of the people here. So, as a result of that, it's a roll of the dice, as they say, as to whether or not you're going to have a child that is more Pleiadian versus more Earthling, as they say here. My children are more me than they are the woman that I had some children with here. Now, having been away from, and let me explain because I hear some of those questions running through some of these people's minds. Why would I I do apologize for saying that again. Why would I have relations with a woman here? And that has to do with the fact that you get lonely after a long time of being away, and I felt that it was okay at the time to have a relationship, to try to have a family, to find some form of peace here. So I did have 2 children here, and they are beautiful children. One is going on 5, and the other is 15 now.
Question coming in from Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Have you ever heard of Nassim Haramein, and how close are his theories to being true?
No, I have not heard of him.
Do you think there's a lot of people on Earth here who think they know what the Pleiadians are all about, but really have no clue?
I have seen a lot of half-truths here about us, and I've seen a lot of theories that were made that we are bad when we are not. I've heard a lot of stories that people have had contact with us, or they've channeled some of our people and have gotten certain bits of information, yet albeit some of the information that they get is true. Sometimes they get some information that is not, because they don't know who they're talking to when they're channeling specifically. Again, they have to have that cosmic phone book. They need to know who they're sending messages to and who they are channeling to know if that information is viable. They need to know the difference. And the problem is that the truth about us has really never truly been discussed here at length. It hasn't been publicized in full truth. You know, it's difficult when most of my people do not speak English at all. It took me over 2 decades to learn English here, to be able to speak it properly in a way that I could be understood. But it wasn't always that way. I didn't know English when I first came here. It was difficult for me to understand the society. So the same goes for those that they believe that they are channeling. If they are speaking English to them, chances are that they are not Pleiadian, because we don't speak English there.
Nicole has a question in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. Audrey, are you aware that there are Pleiadians here from a higher dimension and deep universe or from the future and are able to produce children via unconventional means, meaning not sex but energetics and frequency creation?
We do have that capability, and yes, there are those of us that have the technology to actually travel through time, and we acquired that, ironically, from Zeta ships. They were able to do that. They attempted to land on our planets, and we seized the vehicles so that we could reverse engineer that technology. So we did acquire the ability to travel through time. Now, let me explain something about time travel. There are multiple timelines. There are many different ways that things happen, but it's all the same set of variables, just different values. Each time period is marked by a frequency and a vibration. It's like the dial on a radio. On a radio, you have stations like 100.0 and 101.0 and 102.0, but in between that, you have 101.1, 101.2, 101.3. You have those micro stations in between. The same thing applies to time travel. Everything has a frequency and a vibration. It's a matter of tuning that dial to the right vibration and frequency to match that specific time. So even as we speak in this particular timeline, all time that has existed in this timeline all exists at the same time. It's an illusion that time is linear. everything exists all at the same time. What really is changing is the frequency and the vibration. And that creates the illusion of time here. So as a result of that, you don't see yesterday when it becomes today. When you go to sleep, you wake up, you're in a slightly different vibration and frequency. It changes so gradually on such a subtle level you don't quite notice it. But over time, given 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, maybe more, you will notice a massive change in frequency and vibration in the time, if you are sensitive enough to detect that. But in order to go back into time, let's say you want to go back to May 12th of 1972, you would have to match your instruments to that frequency and match the frequency of the vehicle you are in to that frequency to change the time that you are in, to change the frequency. As a result, it changes your frequency, your body's frequency, and your light being's frequency, your soul, to that frequency and carries you to that time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. We'll get to Mario's question here in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. Audrey, is your life in danger from the government or alphabet agencies, and are you being targeted?
I am always in danger here. I've grown used to it. I've always been in hiding. I've always been very cautious. Even walking outside, I'm always cautious about what's in the air. These helicopters, these vehicles are always looking. The last time I was on the radio, when I mentioned certain things, I had about 6 helicopters above me.
We heard those helicopters as they were flying over.
They were circling the house looking for my coordinates specifically. They shone lights over the properties to look around. For me, I know this because I can read them. As a result of that, I had to step inside on multiple occasions during that broadcast so that they could not listen in on what I was saying to narrow in on my location. But I fully expected to have a bullet shot through my head that night, which is why I explained as much as I did to try to get that information out to all of you.
SJ has a question for you in the SOR Space Travelers. Do Pleiadians have a sense of humor like humans?
Yes, we do. It was something I had to learn here, the type of humor here, but I enjoy humor. It keeps things happy. It keeps a nice aura about you, and it maintains a level of high vibration, I find, just as much as love. Humor was something that was very difficult for me to understand at first. I didn't start out with a sense of humor as far as people here would understand, but as I remained here as long as I have, I came to understand humor, and I find it to be very uplifting. Although there are some very dark kinds of humor I try to stray away from. I do like to joke a lot about things. You know, James can attest to that.
Okay, I got a question for you, Audrey. On humor, the American elections, the candidates that are vying for the American presidency, do you find that humorous?
I find it absolutely humorous. The irony in the elections is incredibly humorous. In fact, you have one absolutely unintelligent candidate, and you have the other absolutely evil, and both of them have the same agenda. And yet, these people, I do apologize again, I don't mean to say that. The Americans here are still voting for them and trying to choose between both of them, but really it's going to be the same result no matter who you choose. I find that to be rather humorous. Ironically, it's happened historically many times over in the history of this country. it's the illusion of choice between Democrats, Republicans, independents. It's an illusion of choice, and it doesn't just apply here, but around the world in other countries. That illusion of choice between different candidates, but they all do the same thing because they're controlled by the same captors. The presidents here are just puppets. They always have been. As a result of that, no matter what choice is made, it's going to be the same outcome for this country. On a positive note, I do find it hilarious that, whenever I look at Trump, I see his hair. And his hair, and the wind blows over sometimes, and you see his bare scalp, and it's rather funny to watch. It looks like a snail.
Never thought of him as a snail. Gentlemen, we're going to hop out for a break here at the bottom of the hour, and we have a bunch more questions coming up for you from our audience. Our audience is packing this one in. I want to try and get as many questions in, and we'll try and see if we got to go to overtime or not, if you guys are willing to do that, if it's necessary or not. I got the horn ready in case you guys are. So you guys sit tight. James Borg and Audrey from UFOria Chronicles. We are taking questions for Audrey now, as Audrey is not from here. He is Pleiadian. Interesting indeed. That's why we love doing this on the mighty SOR. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from UFOria. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio?
Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us.
From the radio, commercials, to banners, to social media.
Have a product you'd like our host to endorse? We can do that too.
Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry.
Right here, this is where we divulge the fruit of our research. Here on the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Missed most of tonight's show? Don't worry, you didn't miss a thing. You can head to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and download our archives for free. And don't forget to get your Space Travelers membership today. Now, back to tonight's show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. The questions from the audience and the SOR Space Travelers and the Spaced Out Radio chat room keep rolling in. I love it. Your participation is fantastic. Hey, have you checked the new Spaced Out Radio website? spacedoutradio.com. Absolute pleasure to put that together for you. Check it out. Check out my blog. Check out other stories. Check out our SOR Spacewire by Eric Markham, who's on the SOR team. Mr. Bumblefoot himself, the guitar god, as we keep that going. And, of course, join the SOR Space Travelers for just $5 a month. Love to have you part of the team. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like. Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website with the brand new look is spacedoutradio.com. James Borg and Audrey from UFOria Chronicles join us tonight. Audrey is taking questions right now as he
No audio.
We have no audio?
That's what you're saying, yeah. It's Mike.
No, that was such a great start, too.
Well, hopefully we have some audio again. I think we're doing good. Bob Burrow will just have to try and refresh. Let's check out the audio here. Just make sure that we are getting. Audio is dropping in and out. I'm not really sure why. Our Wi-Fi signal seems to be looking pretty darn good here right now. Let's try.
Gail Hudson says it's back.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess we can expect things like that when we have somebody like Audrey on.
Oh, definitely.
Unfortunately.
Well, let's battle through because we gotta keep going here. Cleo has a question from Twitter, and Cleo is asking, can you please tell us about God?
Yes, we do believe in God. We do believe in a creator. We don't serve religions, however, the same way that people here do. We don't have a religion. We serve freely and openly because we know our creator. We've been to Fylth many times. Most of us have all ascended many, 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 many times over thousands of years. So we know for a fact that he exists. He is a light being. He doesn't have a vessel like the rest of us do. He lives in a much higher frequency than when we go to Fylth, you still don't quite reach him. He is as high as the seventh. But he helped create everything you see here with just a thought and intention, which creates the energy that was necessary to create everything you see. Now, this is not the only universe. There are many, many universes, just as there are planets and asteroids and suns, star systems. There are many different universes that orbit each other in the same fashion. They start out small and they grow, and they get very big, and then sometimes they do collapse in on themselves. not all of the time. In general, most universes, when they begin to shrink, they end up stopping at a point where everything sits stagnant but still in motion. So there are many different universes, as many universes as there are planets and galaxies and stars and even objects and dust and even quartz within the universes. There are as many universes as there are matter in this universe. Everything goes round and round in an infinite loop here. It's very difficult to count just how many universes there are, but we've been to quite a few. So there are as many layers. If you want to measure dimensions as layers, there are many, many layers to an onion, as much as there are dimensions. They go very eternally. We don't know exactly how high they go. We've been as high as the sixth. The fourth is easy to get to for us. As long as you remain in high vibration here, you don't descend, you ascend. You don't remain stagnant here, like having an anvil change your ankle.
Audrey, I'm going to get you to do me a favor. Our connection seems to be a little muffled. Could you do me a favor and give us a quick call back so that way we can try and get this a little bit clearer?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's try that.
I'll call right back.
Okay. Sorry about that, James.
No, that's a good idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Take that on Skype.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the Skype signal or if it's actually we're being tampered with. I'm not sure what it is right now because I'm looking at my.
Well, let's just call it obla di obla da, right? Like the Beatles, right? Just like leave it in the obla di obla da.
Absolutely.
Okay, is that better?
It is a little bit better. Yes, thank you. I want to get to a pair of questions from Eric in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. He's wondering how you were able to develop your vocal cords when you do not communicate with spoken language on your planet.
I had a very bad speech impairment to start. It was very hard for me to pronounce words. It was very hard for me to pronounce sounds. It took an extensive amount of time and work and practice to learn to do it. I did it by learning from others, watching them speak, watching them communicate. And I learned that through speech therapies here. I did, because I looked like a child all that time ago, I did go through the school systems here, and they put me through many speech therapies, teach me to speak properly. So it took a very long time and a lot of work.
Eric's second question is, was Tesla an extraterrestrial?
He was seated here and had knowledge from us. More specifically, he did used to communicate with us and was able to acquire some information that he used with the limited technology of that time to develop the things he did. If Tesla had lived and hadn't died by the hands of the Hitler regime, this world would be a much different place. This would be a much better place for everyone. It was such a travesty when he died.
Shar in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker would like to ask, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get through as many questions as possible here because I am way behind on asking them. If you were to have a DNA test, would your DNA prove that you were extraterrestrial, or would it come out human?
It would prove that I'm extraterrestrial.
Have you ever had it tested?
Yes, and we found anomalies, many. anomalies in comparison to standard DNA they were used to looking at. My chromosomes are double X. They're not XY. Although I am male, we are different in physiology ever so slightly. Our genetics don't differentiate between male or female as far as our chromosomes are concerned.
Bill has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. Audrey, what is your connection to James, and how did you become involved with each other?
As I said, the very first broadcast that I did, it's a very long story. One I would rather not explain over these lines for his and his family's protection, but what I will say is that we've been talking for years now, and we became very good friends, through a very long line of connections.
All right, moving on to another question. This one comes from Joe in the SOR Space Travelers. Audrey, do you know anything about Mars's Cydonia region?
What I can tell you about Mars is that it is colonized. It does have people there, and they've been there for a very long time. In fact, they don't believe that this planet is even still alive. They were taught there that this planet was not necessarily destroyed, but it was hit by an asteroid, and that the people here died a long time ago. That's what they are told. There are other beings there that live there. You do have Zetas and Alpha Draconians that live there, as well as some Anunnaki, and they rule over those people. It's very similar in as far as the slavery there is concerned to Earth. And it's very unfortunate that they don't know that people here on Earth are alive and that they were never wiped out, at least not recently.
Max Steele, who I mentioned earlier in the show, he's actually spent time on Mars. And he says that if they're above ground, they're out to kill you. If they're underground, those are the ones you need to protect.
Yes, it's very true.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. Do Earth women who know you are from another planet? Because women seem to be able to have that sixth sense about us men.
They know I'm very different. I'm not like other men that they've ever met. I do my best to be as personable with them as I possibly can be with what I've learned in my time here. But I'm very different. Some women here have found that to be very attractive. Others have been driven away by that because the way that I approach things, according to them, seems to be very different, and it scares them sometimes. I'm not a scary person at all, not a scary being. But the way that I process things, I'm very passive, according to them. And they don't like that so much. They seem to like men that are very dominant and very controlling, men that are aggressive in a lot of cases. For whatever reason, that seems to be an attraction here that I still have yet to understand.
JP is asking, do you think that the destruction of Maldek was a false flag of some kind to nail the Pleiadians with a bad reputation?
They used one of our vehicles that they restored, that they had captured after shooting it down. They used that to do that destruction. That was not of our doing.
SJ would like to know, Audrey, do you have any suggestions on how to more easily open our minds to receive energetic downloads, if that's what you call them?
what I want you to do, if you want to open your mind further and heal faster and be able to receive those energetic downloads, as you say, to be able to receive information, not necessarily just from the universe, but from yourself, from your soul, that memory that you carried for so many cycles. You need to sit down and meditate on a star growing at your center. And as you do so, what I want you to do is to let go of all things that are bad that have been holding you back. You need to learn to forgive people, even if they don't deserve it in your eyes. Even if you don't tell them, do it for yourself. If you want to learn to heal your pineal gland, this is necessary, because your pineal gland will not heal with negative energy. It will only heal through love and compassion, through positive vibration, as will the rest of your body. As a result of that, you will look much younger eventually as your body heals. But let me get back to the point. You need to meditate on a star, not a pentagram star, but a real physical star growing at your center near your heart chakra. You need to let go of all things bad, as I explained. Pain, anguish, anger, sadness, stress, let that stuff go. Put it on a raft and let that sail out to sea and let it go, because you can't sail a boat with your anchor down. It's highly counterproductive. You can't fly a hot air balloon with your weights attached. So if you want to open your mind, this is necessary to begin. You need to do this every day. At least an hour in the morning and at least 30 minutes to an hour at night. And this will help heal your pineal gland so that you begin to receive those frequencies. So you begin to receive that memory once again, be reconnected to the memory that your soul carries. You'll be able to remember things going back many, many, many cycles and then further understand your purpose here. I hope that answers your question.
Let's get to Michael's question in the SOR Space Travelers. What is gravity, and does it have a frequency?
Gravity has multiple frequencies, but it's related to hydrogen, ironically, hydrogen atoms. But the gravity here is ironically caused due in part to there are double massive plates in the Earth that shift, and it creates a friction which creates a magnetic field. I know that there are a lot of those that believe this Earth is solid. There are many of those I've heard that believe it is completely flat. But I'm going to tell you that the inside of this Earth is actually hollow. It really is hollow. And this happened after billions of years of this planet expanding due to heat from the core. It pushed out the inside of the Earth and caused the outsides of the Earth to stretch, which is what caused the continents to expand away from each other, which is still happening to this day, just not as vast as it was when this planet was first formed. This is not an uncommon thing. This happens with many, many, many planets. It's more common than you think. Most of the planets in this universe that have formed similar to Earth and Lyra, even Era, all have a hollow center, all of varying sizes. The cavities are of varying sizes. But the way that this Earth turns, you have two very big layers that shift at different speeds. And this causes friction, which also creates a magmatic layer between them. The heat and the pressure from that is what creates volcanoes. And then you have the grinding of the rock and the plates. As they dive back down into the Earth, they get ground up by the inner plates. And this creates more friction and more heat, which thus creates more magma. So
we're going to try.
Steering away.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Go.
I'm going to try and bring James back on here because it seems like he's got knocked off on his audio here, so we're going to try and bring James back on. And,
Go right ahead.
James, if you're listening, I'm not sure if you are, but we are trying to call you, so I don't know if you're hearing the ringtone there. This is where we need some Jeopardy music.
Hello there.
Okay, you got knocked off there, James, so we got you back on now.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah. Let's get to another question here. This one comes from Gail in the SOR Space Travelers. I don't know how Audrey can tolerate being so advanced and have to live with us. We must seem like tater tots to him. What does he do to stay happy?
Well, I live to help people. What makes me happy is to teach them something that they find useful, that they're able to use to their advantage. I do everything I can to teach as many as I can to better their lives, to better their experience, and to eventually ascend. You know, what makes me happiest is to teach those that are much younger to do this, because they are already so high in vibration, they are just a breath away from ascension. You know, the more that I teach, the happier it makes me. The more that I spread my message, and it's not a message that originates just from me. This is a message for many of us, that the more I spread it, the happier I am. That keeps me busy, and it keeps those that do choose to listen to what I have to say on an even keel and on the right path.
Let's get to Joe's question here in the SOR Space Travelers. Audrey, are there any very famous people that are actually aliens that are masquerading as humans?
There are many, as a matter of fact. A lot of them are hybrids. They're Alpha Draconian Human Christos hybrids. And they look like us, but they have some slight differences, and they maintain an image to keep you from being able to detect them. But one way you can detect them is that their vibration is always very low. To me, it's very nauseating to be around them. You know, I can sense one of them 50 to 100 feet away because they vibrate so low, it's like a black hole to a star. So there are many, many actors here and politicians, the people that are high up in the governments. Most of them are hybrids, and they masquerade as people. But they're all controlled by the same captors. We like to call them the cabal as a whole. They are all a part of the same agenda here.
Can you name a couple of them?
Well, I could name quite a few. Obama, Trump with the hair, Hillary. We like to call her Hitlery. I do hope that nobody in this chat room is in favor of her. We call her that for various reasons. But, you know, you have Angela Merkel, you have various actors that are in Hollywood. George Clooney, for one. You have actors such as Brad Pitt, and you have other actors like Kevin Spacey and many others that are actual hybrids. It's quite obvious. Jim Carrey was another, still is. I could name quite a few, actually.
There was a question earlier in the chat room, and I apologize to who asked it. But
let me interrupt you there real fast. Yes, the Queen. the Draco, as we call them. She and her whole line, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, all of them are hybrids.
Makes sense. The question that I forgot to ask from the chat room earlier, have you ever met on this planet any immortals, or are immortals actually real?
Everyone has the potential to be immortal. Everyone can be if they keep their vibration up and heal. I'm a testament of that fact. We can live as long as we choose. It's not impossible. It has to do with how you maintain your body. And we're not talking specifically just about nutrition. Vibration is the key to eternal life. It's the key to extending your life and healing others. It is the key to everything.
Follow-up question from Gail. Do these celebrities know they are hybrids?
Of course they do. Absolutely. They know exactly what they're there to do.
Interesting. Let's get to Eric's question. This is more for you and your people, the Pleiadians. What do you think of music? Like Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, Guns N' Roses?
I've come to love it here. I absolutely enjoy many different flavors of music here. I do not tolerate heavy metal. That's very harsh on me, and I can't understand it. They sound like they're screaming, and their words are very garbled. I like music that is very uplifting here. I listen to a lot of the gospel music here. I listen to rock. I listen to disco. I've listened to old school rock from the 60s. Love the Beatles. Absolutely. Although a lot of their music has a lot of messages in it that most didn't pick up on. There are many, many different types of music. I loved the music in the 80s. That was outstanding. Bands like Richard Marx and White Lion and many others I could probably name if I thought about it long enough. The music in the 90s, it started changing a bit. They became more synthetic with their voices, using different types of equalizers and synthesizers to balance the pitches of the voices for those that were tone deaf. So that opened up a new market for tone deaf singers to get into the music industry. So true talent really went out the door by the late 90s. In the 2000s, I hear a lot of music now that's just not quite true music anymore.
Oh, it's terrible. Let's be honest. It's terrible.
It is. It's gotten worse. You don't have quality anymore. It's gone down the hill. Over just the last 16 years, I've noticed that the degradation in the quality of music and in the effort that they put into it, everything is digitized now. Nothing is analog. Nothing is made pure anymore. It's all done on computers. So, it's changed a lot over the decades. Music has evolved here a lot. I've seen changes just from one decade to the next to the next. The music where we come from is all vibratory. Our music is far different. It sounds like a choir beyond anything you've ever heard. We create music in our minds, and we also have instrumentals there that are very different from what you're used to here. Our instruments produce vibratory frequencies that, when heard from your naked ear, sound like 1,000 voices in a choir, all of different pitches. It's very beautiful. We have very different types of frequencies, too. We play very simple frequencies, not always in harmonies. our music is very peaceful and uplifting to our pineal glands when we meditate. Very similar to your binaural beats here. It's very close.
Are you a fan of Bumblefoot? Bumblefoot is our sound here.
I have heard your Bumblefoot, and I love it. I love true high-quality music, and Bumblefoot seems to be using real instrumentals and true talent. I have a very high appreciation for the music.
He is a good dude, and if you ever get a chance to see him live, it's pretty intense on what he does to a guitar and how he can play a guitar. It's pretty intense.
Absolutely.
You guys want to keep going? Do you guys want to keep going, or do you want to have a little bit of overtime, or do you want to call it the night?
We can have a little bit of overtime.
All right, let's do it. We'll go for. Let's go for 30 minutes. We're going to take a break here. We're going to give our guests, James Borg and Audrey, a break to catch their breath, chill out, relax. We're going to do a half hour of overtime coming up right after this.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene, and if you're in need of Reiki or a realm reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Yeah, I'm just really glad to be here. Alright.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. That's our sign for overtime here on Spaced Out Radio. Welcome back. Hope you all took a chance during the break to get in to the Spaced Out Radio website, check things out. As we're going extra time tonight, we're going to go to the bottom of the hour, make this a 3.5-hour show. Why? Because we can. We have the ability to do so. So that's what we're going to do. And who doesn't like a good overtime every now and again? SpaceOutRadio.com, our website that we broadcast on. All you do is hit enter. And if you want to listen to the show on our website, all you do is go to the homepage after hitting enter, and it will automatically pop up at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time every night, and the show is right there. You can also, while you're visiting our website, join the SOR Space Travelers Club, check out our blogs, check out our team that's around us, the affiliates who we associate ourselves with, and of course, our new SOR Spacewire, news from Eric Markham, our news director. We've expanded this a little bit, and it's going pretty well. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter, at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website, once again, spacedoutradio.com. Sticking around for a half hour of overtime is James Borg and Audrey from UFOria Chronicles. Gentlemen, thank you for taking some extra time to be with us.
James, would you like to talk a little bit?
No, you know what? I talked enough. It's better. All the information comes from the horse's mouth, brother.
Okay.
Well, let's continue on. Joe has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. Does the television show, Audrey, Ancient Aliens, get stuff right? Is their information accurate?
It's partially accurate. As far as time travel is concerned, yes, it is accurate. And on a note there, Joe, Giorgio Tsoukalos never accepted my friend request. But that's unfortunate. So I do make fun of him a lot.
Well, I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and I sent him a request the other day for an interview, and I haven't heard back yet.
I don't feel so bad.
I want to ask you what you would probably consider some simple questions, but I think they're very human-type questions as we learn about you and what it's like in your area of the Pleiades. Do children go to school?
Nice question.
For those that are new here, that have descended freshly to this plane on Lyra or Era or Orca or Romulus, we do have a school system per se. It's not the same as you would see here. We teach them by basically injecting knowledge. We share that with them. Teach them to first communicate telepathically, which is very easy for them because they're not taught to speak verbally. So, not unlike myself, I had to learn to speak verbally, which was very difficult, but there it's not needed. So we teach them the history of everything, and we do it in a very short amount of time. By the age of 4, they are already meditating. They've already learned to meditate by the age of 4. By the age of 6 to 10, they are not only meditating, but they're communicating telepathically with perfect fluency. It's very easy for them to learn, and once they learn to speak telepathically, it's easy to teach them much further.
Do you have sports up there? Like, is there baseball, hockey, basketball, football, golf? Do you fish?
I wish we had some of those sports there, but the gravity, ironically, even though Lyra is slightly larger than Earth, the gravity is slightly less. It's easier for us to levitate, so we do throw simple balls around. We have a very simple sport there, and we have 4 hands. We have 2 upper hands and 2 lower hands, which I'm now showing those around me, as you can see. Well, they can't see, but yes, we do have 4 hands that are with mobile or opposable thumbs on all 4. Our upper hands have overextending opposable thumbs, where our lower hands have standard opposable thumbs with standard joints. So we throw balls with all 4 hands, and we pass them back and forth. It's a very simple sport, if you can call it that. And most of the children do this, but we still do it at older ages too.
Wow. Is there crime on your planet?
No. We don't have crime there. We don't have laws that make everything illegal like they do here. We don't even have a currency. We have a simple bartering system. We trade for what we need. We trade supplies and things that we develop there. We have a very basic trading system, and we live within our means. We don't have extensive material things. We live very simply. Although we do have a lot of technology, we're not spoiled by it. We learn to be. We're very humble. We learn to be humble from the very beginning. So we don't live with too many material things, but we do have towns and communities there, just like we do here. But they are what you would call Ubuntu. If you were to make a comparison to a community here on this planet, in South Africa here, there's a community that is based on what they call Ubuntu, which is very similar.
Eric wants to know, because he, a number of years ago in 1989, ran into a Pleiadian at a restaurant in Atlanta, Georgia. Had you ever been to Atlanta?
No.
SJ would like to ask you, what kind of food do you like on this planet?
Well, I eat because I'm able to heal very rapidly and poisons don't damage me as easily here. I eat anything I really want to eat. I do enjoy pizza. I love macaroni and cheese, but I also like to eat some fresh fruits and vegetables, too, that are not genetically altered. And unfortunately here it's very difficult to find fruits and vegetables. Oh, here comes another helicopter.
I heard that.
We have, it's hard to find fruits and vegetables here that are pure, that are not altered, that have true nutritional value with, vitamins and minerals and the things that you need. So we've learned to eat very little where I come from. We don't eat much, and what we eat there is actually grown. We don't kill any plants. We take cells from them and we replicate it without it being a full living organism. It is replicated, but they're not genetically modified. It's still pure. The same with meats. We never kill animals. We take a sample of the cells and we replicated it for those who like meats. So we do have meats and vegetables there. Pizza is something that we don't have there yet, but I would love to introduce. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, you can never go wrong with pizza. Never go wrong with pizza. Michael would like to know... go ahead, James.
Okay, sorry. Just from my past here. Audrey, do they have any alcohol on the planets?
We have certain types that were imported by Andromedans. They have a very strong, like a rum. It's almost like an elixir, and when you drink it, it will make you feel very euphoric, and you will see things from a different perspective. There are some highly unattractive Andromedans that use that to mask their appearance because it changes your perspective and the way you perceive them to make them look more beautiful. John here can attest to that. However, we won't go into too much detail about it. It's highly embarrassing to him. But, yeah, we did import some forms of alcohol. We do not drink them in excess, but more on celebratory occasions. Like, right, for instance, the 5-star formation is a time of the year that we celebrate there. When Atlas aligns in perfect harmony with the other stars in the system, and we get a 5-sun formation on Lyra. It's a celebratory season. So we do have a time where we actually drink some of that. But we do it in moderation, not to the point where we are unable to function.
Another question from Michael in the SOR Space Travelers. What other life forms are there on your planet?
Well, ironically, a lot of the life forms you find here are very similar there. We brought a lot of those over, and unfortunately, they ended up here via crashes. We were carrying animals on the ships when they were taken down by Alpha Draconians during a war. Not all animals here on this planet are from ours, but some are. So we do have certain cats that came from there, lions, for instance, octopuses came from Lyra, and various aquatic life forms came from Lyra, such as squids, and we had certain crustaceans that also came from Lyra, like certain forms of crabs. For instance, the horseshoe crab came from Lyra, and that's been here for many, many millions of years.
Have you ever taken any other animals for study? Say, for instance, like the black rhino, which is now extinct here on Earth. Could you replenish it?
We could. We do take samples, just samples. We never take the animals. We take genetic samples and keep them in archives. We could replenish those animals, but at this time they would more than likely be extinct again if we were to return them here.
Another question for you. Audrey, what is the Pleiadian relationship to Lyrans?
We originated in the Lyran constellation. We had 2 planets there. One was Lyra, and the other is what you would call Lemuria, at least the closest pronunciation. And those 2 planets were overrun by Alpha Draconians, not unlike this planet. We were forced to leave. We didn't have the technology at the time to defend ourselves. We were very simple. And they came in for our resources like a bunch of locusts. And they overran our planet, so we had to flee. And we had already taken note of young planets in the Pleiades systems. Now, despite popular theory, we did not, as a people, originate in the Pleiades system. That was a system we adopted, and those planets were very young at the time and undeveloped, and they were toxic. And it took us close to 100 Earth years, if you want to measure it on that scale, to purify the atmospheres and to cool the planets enough for us to be able to live on the terrestrial surface. And so it took us a while to establish a new home. All the while we were contained in our vehicles, our ships, at the time outside of the planets as we were terraforming those planets to be more habitable for us. We introduced animals to those planets that we had brought from Lyra and from Lemuria. And those animals still exist there to this day, and some of those animals were imported to Earth.
That's funny. I got to interrupt there. What you were just saying, describing about how your people lived on spaceships for about 100 years. That's very similar to a series that was running in the late 70s, early 80s called Battlestar Galactica with Lorne Greene, a Canadian actor, playing a commander.
Where do you think they got that from?
There you go. Wow.
Do you have a day job here? Gail would like to know.
I used to. I worked as a computer technician for a long time, working with computers in the same fashion that I work with people, fixing viruses and corrupt programming in those computers to make them more stable and much faster, more refined and streamlined. Repairing the technology when they broke down and building new machines in the process. I started that back in the 80s, and I've been doing that for a very long time.
Bill has a question for you in the SOR Space Travelers. Did life on your planet evolve from lower life forms, or were you engineered?
Our life on Lyra, if that's what they're referring to, in Lemuria, came from another planetary system. We came from Sirius originally. We branched off and we founded old Lyra and Lemuria and the Lyran system, where we populated those planets. We came to some disagreements with the Sirians back in the older days, and we left the planets to live our own way. Not that the Sirians had a hostile lifestyle at all, but we had some disagreements. We liked to help people, and they didn't like to help people in the same fashion. They didn't like it to interfere with other populations, distribute technologies and such. They were very strict. And we enjoy helping lower, new populations develop and grow as a unit, and to teach them the things that they need to know about their own bodies to be able to eventually ascend. So that's partly why I'm here.
Joe has a question for you. Was your Pleiadian people ever warlike? Do you battle? Do you have a defense force?
We do out of necessity. We've had encounters, even in the Pleiades, with Alpha Draconians. About 240,000 Earth years ago, we had a war just outside of our system, and they were attempting to inhabit our planets, and we had to fight them off. At that time, we had built up our defenses. We have weaponry that we only use in defensive situations. We never use it in offensive situations to harm others intentionally. We do it only to defend ourselves. After the wars that happened on Old Lyra and Lemuria, we had no choice but to develop defensive measures. So we did, and to this day we maintain a fleet out there that guards the outer perimeters of the system.
I'm just looking for other questions here in regards to it. Michael would like to know, as we have about 3 minutes left here in overtime, quickly, what would be a quick message for what you are doing here, and what would you like to say to us?
I want everybody to learn to love each other, to stop warring, to stop hating each other, to stop feeling angry and hateful, and to stop feeling stress and sadness. It's very painful for me to have to be around people that are so damaged. I want to help as many people as I can to live better, to live in peace, to be able to prosper and flourish, and to eventually ascend. You know, these wars that we have here on this planet are completely unnecessary. There is no need for people that are of the same people to be killing each other here. It's highly counterproductive, and it's very sad to watch. We do empathize. We do feel a sadness. My heart is hardened by the fact that so many people war. And now I'm starting to get emotional. You know, I all I want is for these people to prosper and to live in peace.
Is it possible?
It's always possible. There's always hope.
Max has a quick question for you. It'll be our last question of the night for you. And this is Max Steele asking this. Supposed to ask you where peaches came from.
Peaches actually came from Lyra. That was a plant that we engineered there out of a couple of different plants. Ironically, it's a cousin of the mango.
They're damn good. Even though I'm more of a nectarine guy, they are damn good.
Yes, they are.
Gentlemen, I want to say thank you so much for being with us on Spaced Out Radio tonight. James Borg from UFOria Chronicles, Audrey from UFOria Chronicles. We have to do this again. Again. You know, maybe we could try again in late August. What do you guys think?
That would be beautiful.
I thought the questions tonight from the audience were pretty good. I think they have a good intention of knowing what you're like, Audrey, and I think that's really cool.
I love them. They're very good people, all of them.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, you hang on. And as for me, our valued audience, there's our man Bumblefoot. Coming in to take us home tonight, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Now, rocking us out. I love this song because it makes so much sense to this show. Little Brother is Watching. Go figure. Great song for Spaced Out Radio. Want to say thank you to everyone tuning in tonight. Tomorrow night on the show, Dallas Tanner will join us. We're going to talk Thunderbirds. We're going to talk sea monsters. And we're going to talk Bigfoot. Tomorrow night on the mighty SOR. It's a cryptid trilogy. I love the cryptids. We haven't talked Thunderbird in a long time on this show, so it's about time we get back to it. Reminder, you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Our YouTube channel is Spaced Out Radio Show. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Check it out. Check out the features. Sign up for the SOR Space Travelers today. It's only $5 a month. We want to get that thing going so that way you have some private area to post your pictures, your videos, your evidence, your EVPs, and your stories as well. We're doing it all for you. So it's right there. All you got to do is sign up. We are about 21 hours away from showtime tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are all here as well. We had a jam-packed house in the SOR Space Travelers and in the Space Out Radio chat room on Spreaker. The questions were wonderful. You as an audience were wonderful as well. Keep up the good work. We do this for you 7 nights a week, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. And we love doing it. That's why we're here. Going to give it to Mr. B here. He's going to rock us right out. Good night.
I know you're out there somewhere. This is the new totalitarian state. 1,000 eyes are waiting for you to break. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We've watched you for so